Good evening and welcome to the Hawaii Kai Neighborhood Board. My name is Roberta Mayer. I'm chair of the board and represent Subdistrict 10. I'm going to be asking the board members to introduce themselves, starting at my far right with Herb.
Good evening, everybody. Thank you for coming. I'm Subdistrict 6, which is Upper Lunalilo past the skate park. So thank you for coming. Awesome. And thank you all those who are online also. Next time, show up.
Good evening, everybody. My name is Charles Che. I'm the at-large board member. I live by Kalama Valley. See you, everybody.
Hi, I'm Joe Brilliant, at large, live in the Mariners Cove area. And thanks for being here.
This gentleman here is Jeffrey Jones. He is from the Neighborhood Commission Office and he's here as our assistant tonight.
Elizabeth Riley at large. I live in Mariners Cove and Kamilanui Valley.
Aloha, everyone, and mahalo for coming. My name is Samuel Wolf. I represent Subdistrict 4, which are the condo towers along Hahaione.
Good evening, everyone. Paige Alton, Subdistrict 11, which is Portlock Road and Mauna Lua Triangle, Kokokai.
We do have a few members who are online, not able to be here tonight. And I'd like them to introduce themselves also. Dixon Park.
Hi, good evening, everybody. My name is Dixon Park. I am an at-large board member and I live in Spinnaker. Thank you for coming.
Elijah Lee.
Good evening, Elijah Lee, Subdistrict 5, Mariners Cove.
Joseph Pugh.
Joseph Pugh, Subdistrict 7, Kalama Valley.
All right, did I miss anything? Oh, go ahead, Lisa. Introduce yourself.
Yes, I'm Lisa Bishop, at large.
And I'm here. This is
Who's
Greg.
that?
Greg.
Oh, Greg.
Hi there.
Welcome, Greg. How
Yep,
far
Greg
away are
Knudsen.
you?
I'm at large and currently in California. Happy Thanksgiving.
Thank you for joining us, Greg. All right, we do have a quorum tonight, but we're going to be following our agenda and starting with our status reports. Is there anyone from the Honolulu Fire Department here tonight? Not here. The Honolulu Police Department.
Hi, aloha, Lieutenant Taro Nakamura from HPD. These are stats for October's compared to the previous month. Let's see, motor vehicle thefts was 1 as compared to 3. Burglaries were 4 as compared to 3. Thefts in general were 7 as compared to 11. And UEMVs, which is theft from auto, that was 3 as compared to 8. This is out of total calls of service of 6,075 for the district. Further statistical information can be found at honolulupd.org. And our safety tip for the month is, well, it's mostly for folks who have a business. It's just a reminder that per OSHA, the employers are supposed to have fire extinguishers readily accessible, just in case for fires. And there's mounting and like signage requirements for that. So it's just a friendly reminder that the more fire extinguishers we have readily available, the easier it is to take care of an emergency situation. And that's our safety tip for the month.
Thank you, Lieutenant Nakamura. Are there any questions for the Honolulu Police Department? No questions, Lieutenant. Thank you for coming and joining us.
Okay, aloha. Happy Thanksgiving.
Aloha. Happy Thanksgiving. Board of Water Supply. Iris Oda.
Hi, everyone. So I give a main break report and a general announcement. So I know exactly where my printout is. It's at my desk. So I have to read off of my little phone here. Oops. There was one main break on October 16th near 1262 Honokahua Street. So that's the one break this past month. I give a monthly report from previous month. And we have the one general announcement is, okay, So BW is we're recruiting people to come and work for us. Shape your future and become part of a dynamic and well-run city organization that protects Oahu's precious water resources. We promote growth as an employee and support your work-life balance. So we're looking to fill permanent full-time positions in engineering, information technology, customer service, and administrative support. There's also contract positions, so full-time and contract positions, permanent positions. So go to boardofwatersupply.com/jobs and featured #BWS. So join the Board of Water Supply and become a water protector. So that's my announcement. And I had a follow-up from last month, the status of the Kalama Valley. Sorry, I didn't have it last month. Oops. Okay, so everyone can actually go into our boardofwatersupply.com site and you can look for news and something else, sorry, but then you go to contracts, construction projects, and you can go and see the project, the Kalama Valley project. So I was told that work started on June 17th of 2024. So they're currently replacing service laterals. And as of November 8th, it's being worked on at Napoko Place and Honokahua Street, from Kahului Street to Kepananiwai Streets. So there's traffic modifications and lane closures that will be in effect during construction, Monday through Fridays from 7:30 to 3:30. And so like I was mentioning, go to boardofwatersupply.com or our social media channels of Facebook and Nextdoor to look at the more current updates. So sorry, there was something posted yesterday and I printed it and like I said, I left it on my desk. So I think they're down for this holiday week right now. So that's my follow-up.
Iris, if you send that to me by email, I will send it to the board members. And we have a question from Board Member Knudsen online. Go ahead, Greg.
Yeah, hi, Iris. You had said there was a water main break on Honokahua Street as well, and the 1200 block. It looked like it was pretty extensive. So is that related to anything else, like the work being done on the laterals or the ongoing problems that Kalama Valley has with pressure? There were quite a few metal covers across that street last week or a couple of weeks ago. So just wonder if you have more information.
I don't have that as part of my typical main break report. I'll have to put in the request for some more information on that and report.
Because with all the work being
January.
done in Kalama Valley and in that particular area, it does seem like it would be nice to have a greater explanation. Thank you.
Yeah, okay, thanks.
Paige?
Hi, Iris. Is there any timeline on this Kalama Valley, the current project that's going on Honokahua Street? Is there any kind of timeline on completion for this?
I'll have to ask on that. I did ask that question. It was not provided, so I'll.
Some
see
kind of
if-
guesstimate. I mean, I know they can't give a date, but some kind of guesstimate if it's a year or a month or.
Yeah, I'll ask that question and see, like, it's probably going to be based on contract time.
Perfect.
Okay,
Thank you.
thanks.
Iris, I'd like to communicate a concern that I saw from online from a member of the public. They indicated that they're glad that the Board of Water Supply is working on the Kalama Valley laterals, but they were concerned that after work, the equipment and trucks are being parked on the side on the grass. And there was a little concern about what's happening to the grass.
I'll
Okay.
bring that up. Did they happen to mention it? Is that okay? So,
Oh, the parking on the grass, though. Oh, okay.
she spoke to me before the meeting.
All right.
Someone was
okay.
complaining, but that we addressed it that day.
All right,
So
great.
thank you though for the question.
Okay, thank you so much. Any other questions for Iris? Don't see any. Thanks so much, Iris.
Bye-bye.
Bye-bye. Happy holidays. The Kaiser Complex Schools, Principal Shannon Gu, welcome. We're at his school, by the way. This is the principal of Aha Ionis School.
Yes, good evening. Good evening, board. Just some quick updates. I just want to say big congratulations to our Kaiser Cougar football team who won their semifinal game against Kauai High School in Kauai. And they're going to be facing for the state championship, Kamehameha Schools Maui. And this will be on Saturday, 4 p.m. at Mililani Field. So congratulations, yes. There's a lot of alum that still live here in Hawaii Kai, and we're all rooting for them. And Coach Tim Siemens been coaching and with excellence for many, many years. So we just want to see the best for them. All right, some other updates. We will have an inaugural surfing team. And it's actually a club that's competing at Kaiser High School. And they are fundraising for entry fees right now. And faculty advisors are helping. Just to let you know, Kaiser High School, in all of their subject areas, there is service in action. So not just Kaiser High School, but also New Valley Middle School. And that service in action is very strong. That is kind of the underlying theme for everything we do. We try to build that into the students' hearts. Just coming up, Kaiser High School will be doing a full accreditation visit with the WASC accreditation organization, and it's going to be in January 2025. Also, a big event coming up that we're partnering with Lions Club. They're putting on the Hawaii Kai Holiday Parade, and none other than our very own Principal Mew, Justin Mew at Kaiser High School, will be the parade marshal. So congratulations to him. Moving right along, Haheone just completed their annual fun run. It's 30 minutes of intense running, and mahalo to the Kaiser High School band and cheerleaders for performing during the run. It's a great partnership, and they really get the kids really excited about fitness. Also, a big mahalo to Mike Yasutake, community member, for volunteering as a videographer for our event. One more announcement is that Kamilawiki has their International Baccalaureate reauthorization visit, and that's going to be in January 2025 as well. And again, big congratulations to Koko Head Elementary School, who received the Blue Ribbon School Award, and they just traveled up this month to Washington, D.C. to receive that award. So congratulations to them. That's my report.
Thank you, Mr. Gu. Are there questions for Mr. Gu from the board or audience? Okay, thank you so much, Mr. Gu.
All right, happy Thanksgiving, and we want to just say we're very grateful for your leadership here in the community. Mahalo.
Thank you so much. The next item on our agenda is community announcements. I'm going to invite the board members or members of the community to make any announcements that would be beneficial for the community to hear. Are there people who have any community announcements to share? Elizabeth?
I'd like to remind everybody that December the 14th is the last opportunity to Malama the Aina at Havea Heao Complex in Kiavava Wetland, right off of Hawaii Kai Drive, where the Alaiula nest and are thriving. So please consider coming out on that Saturday from 8 to 12 noon. Again, that's December the 14th. We hope to see you out there at least once. Come on out and volunteer and learn about this community asset. Mahalo.
Any other announcements? Come on up.
Aloha kākoa pau mai ka pi'ina i ka lai hae ka laubelo o le hua ano ai ke aloha. My name is Malia Lam Kavaihua Marquez. We have a really special day this Thursday on Laku'oko'a, which is Hawaiian Independence Day. We will be blessing the Mauna Lua sign, and it's for all of our community. I have people from Waianae and all over coming to thank this board and Hawaii Kai Mariners Community Association for bringing our name back to this special aina. It's one of first, so get ready because names are coming back. Mahalo.
Any other community announcements? Oh, Malia, Paige has a question.
Can you give the date and time
Yeah.
of that?
This Thursday, which is Thanksgiving morning at 9 a.m. at the sign, between 9 and 10, we have Sister Roby, Mauna Lua coming to perform. We have a lot of speakers of this Aina telling the story and Mo'olelo of Mauna Lua. Very short, so come and enjoy. I'll have Ai Mama, which is pa'akai to cleanse your body, uala, which is sweet potato, as well as maia from these lands. So come enjoy before you go home and pig out.
Malia and her volunteer group are responsible for initiating and putting up, working with the community to put up that Mauna Lua sign right underneath the Hawaii Kai sign at the entry to Hawaii Kai. So we're very thankful for the efforts of the community. Other community announcements, come on up.
Hi, my name is Cassidy Hollenbeck. I'll keep it short because I know there's important agenda items tonight. I'm here on behalf of Livable Hawaii Kai Hui, and I just wanted to share with you guys that we have some Ka'iwi Mauka lands that we're opening up for more volunteering and community efforts to be a part of. If you're unfamiliar with these lands, they're 182 acres between Kalama Valley and Makapu'u, and we're really excited because we want people out there. We want people doing good work and taking care of the land, and we'd love to see you out there. So if you're interested in volunteering or you have suggestions for land management practices, we'd love to hear them. You can catch me in the back. We can talk story about it, or you can also check out our website at info@lhkh.org. Yeah, love to see you out there. Thank you.
Thank you, Kathy. Anybody else? Come on up. Let's move this along quickly.
Hello all. So we are students from Massachusetts. We go to WPI, which is Worcester Polytechnic Institute. Oh, my phone.
Can you repeat that again?
Yes, ma'am. We are students that are working with Livable Hawaii Kai Hui as well. We are from Massachusetts and we go to Polytechnic Institute. My name is Ethan.
My name is Chris, and we're working on our college project with Livable Hawaii Kai Hui to increase accessibility to the wetland, the Keawava wetlands, in accordance with the ADA laws, so that the attendees, younger and older, were able to traverse the wetland more easily.
My name is Louis O. So just in regards to accessibility, it's just creating designs for bridges and walkways in order to create better educational experience for children or for volunteers, especially older volunteers who work there, to make it easier for them to help out and take care of the land.
Hello, I'm Brendan Riley. Here we go. Hey, I'm Brendan Riley. So with all these designs, we're also making sure that the alai ula that reside in the wetland are not disturbed, and that the mongooses are not allowed to create nesting areas on the property, since this would threaten the alai ula. Along with our engineering portion of the project, we also have a social part of the project, and Ethan's going to talk about that a little bit more.
So with this social part of the project, we will be doing surveys outside of the wetland on Tuesdays, Thursdays, and one of the following Sundays that is to be determined. If you'd like to stop by, we'd really appreciate to hear your voice and what you think of the wetland. We will be in the back if you'd like to talk story with us, but we do have to catch a bus around 8:15-ish. But I appreciate you taking the time to talk to us. Have a good night. Happy Thanksgiving.
Aloha. My name is Leala Cook, and my brother here, Kalani Kalima. We are residents of Waimanalo, born and raised in Waimanalo. We are here to share with the Hawaii Kai residents in the community of our 32nd annual Community Waimanalo Christmas Parade. We just wanted to advise you folks, if you guys are traveling on Kalaniana Ole on Saturday, December 14, we will be having our Christmas parade from 9 a.m. to 11:30 a.m. So the road will be blocked off, to just give you guys a heads up. We will be having a lot of community participants enjoying our annual Christmas parade, as well as we'll be having our Ho'olaulea followed after the Christmas parade at the Waimanalo Beach Park. The Waimanalo Christmas Parade will be starting off in the beginning portion of Waimanalo on Humuniki Street and Kalani Anaole Highway, just before Shima's Market, and ending at Waimanalo Beach Park. There will be lots of floats, bands, pau riders, schools, nonprofit organization, and last but not least, for everybody to enjoy Santa Claus. Hawaii Power Riders is a nonprofit organization who is sponsoring the parade itself, and I am honored to be the second year to be the parade chair. I would like Kalani Kalima to share with you folks of our ho'olaulea.
Hello, Mike Kako. Nice to see you all this evening. Good to see some familiar faces from the time we saved Kaiwi Mauka lands. I'm the president of Nakua Aina o Waimanalo. So we had joined the Trust for Public Land, Kaiwi Coast Coalition, and our Livable Hawaii Kaihui at that time. And we did a lot of good together. So I appreciate this opportunity to share with all of you folks about the ho'olaulea. This is the first ho'olaulea that we're going to be doing. And what I'm doing is I'm focusing on top of building resiliency. It's a multi-pronged approach at building resiliency. So we're looking at education. We're bringing in Kamehameha Schools, Winter Community College, HCC, and many others, including West Oahu, so that we can provide those post-high education opportunities for our community and anybody else that's interested. 100% of the vendors' fees is going to be given back to the community as scholarships. So this is going to be the third year that we're going to be offering the Haywood Kalima scholarship for our community. Usually we give out $1,000, and it ain't much, I understand. But being a teacher and understanding how financial aid works, sometimes you got to wait 1-2 weeks before you finally get the financial aid, and $1,000 might be just enough to keep you going beyond the hump. We're also looking at employment, so we're bringing in all of the trades, the unions. A lot of our youth are good with their hands. They're not going to go to college. So with that being said, I want to make sure that I provide an opportunity that can provide them a skill and to give them a livable wage. We need that. So we got those two. We're partnering up with Castle Hospital, Keola Mamo, Waimanalo Health Center, the Hawaiian program at Queens, and also with the Cancer Center at UH Manoa. We understand how important health is, and as I look out amongst the crowd, I see a lot of kupuna over here. So you guys all understand the importance of health and longevity. So good to be amongst you folks. The third part is home ownership. Yeah, because in any community or cohesive society, it's about building financial stability. For financial stability, you can work towards home ownership. From home ownership, you can provide a legacy for your child and hopefully generational wealth. We have to look at the long term. What is good for Waimanalo is good for Hawaii Kai. What is good for Waimanalo is good for Kailua. What is good for Hawaiians is good for all. Yeah, so we're also going to be, and thank you so much, Elizabeth, for having the flyer. So if you guys can go and see Elizabeth, she might have some extra flyers, and we'll be here to answer any other question. We'll be honoring Chad Royan, the first foreign yokozuna in sumo history. He and my brother, best friends, they both passed away this year. When I went to the mayor's office, when I went to the governor's office, they wasn't planning anything. It's as if Hawaii has forgotten. And just like any other, like a veteran, those that made us proud, they made us proud because of their hardships, their trials, and their accomplishments. They're humble young men, and Waimanalo is going to honor them amongst honoring our kupuna. So there's a lot more that I can share, but I'd love to answer any questions that you folks may have, or if you guys know of anybody else that would like to help be a part of something that is greater than us all, which is change, not chump change. Thank you.
Thank you very much for sharing that information with us. The date is December 14. Next on our agenda is public generated issues. Is there anyone in the audience or board that would like to bring to our attention an issue that the community would be concerned about that is not on our agenda? Oh, and I see that the Honolulu Fire Department has come. Could we take him out of turn? He was supposed to be first on the agenda. Honolulu Fire Department, come on up.
Thank you for your graciousness, Chair. Okay, the statistics for October 2024, there was 1 nuisance fire, 5 activated alarms, 69 medical alarms, 2 mountain rescues, 1 hazardous materials incident. And the fire safety tip is about regarding kitchen and cooking safety. Cooking is the leading cause of home fires. Protect yourself, your family, and your neighborhood by practicing these prevention tips. For more information and resources, visit fire.honolulu.gov. Stay in the kitchen while you are cooking. Do not leave cooking unattended. If you must leave the kitchen, turn off the stove. Keep items such as oven mitts, wooden utensils, towels, etc. away from the stovetop, even when the stove is off. Never store items on top of the stove or cooktop and inside the oven. Keep a lid nearby to smother small grease fires. Smother the fire by sliding a lid over the pan and turning the stove off. Only plug one heated producing appliance, such as a coffee maker, toaster, etc., into an outlet at one time. Create a 3-foot child and pet-free zone around your cooking area. And that's the tips for it. Thank you.
Are there any questions for the Honolulu Fire Department? Someone from the audience, could you please come up to the microphone because we need to hear your question.
I have a really loud voice. So I just want to know, when we do these rescues by helicopter, who gets charged for it? How much is it? And how cumbersome is it to our state? I just had a friend tell me that they had to have a medical pickup on for an accident, and they were charged $70,000. $70,000. So can you tell me what happens when a hiker needs help? I'm just asking.
That's a great question. We have a great audience here that probably wants to ask that same question that's been asked several times. So what I'd like to start off though with calling 911 and the rescue is activated, right? So we're having a helicopter or the boat, a lot of resources are coming. All of those resources are already appropriated in the fiscal budget for the city already. So if you call 911, the rescue helicopter is coming once, twice, or 12 times in that day. It's already been budgeted. As far as the cost for each rescue, I don't have those numbers with us here, but that's fiscally budgeted. So it's what I want to encourage though, what the city and our chief really encourages is that we be mindful as a community about the people that's out there that's going on these rescues. And then education really cancels out that fear of getting into trouble, right? We know more, we push out more education throughout the community, through our friends and family, because not only the tourists are getting in trouble, it's family and friends here, locals. So the more knowledge we get out there, the less rescues that might be happening. But as far as the question for budget, it's already been appropriated throughout the city, so it's not costing less anymore. And as far as a charge to the person, the individual, here in Honolulu, we don't charge any individual a cost for calling the helicopter or going with that. We want people to feel free to call, because if you call, we'll come and get you. If you have that fear of financial burden about calling, don't fear that, because people get into more trouble. And that's what we don't want to have happen. So educate, see people out there, I think that's a great question. I hope I answered your question. Whether you, we call it public assist. If you need help just getting up off the ground and into your bed, that's been appropriated. We're going to just call 911. We want to come and help you. We're really waiting for the call. So it's getting off the toilet, get into your bed, call the firefighters. We want to come, okay? Or you're coming up, right? You need help in the mountain and it's 12 o'clock midnight. I want to encourage you, don't wait till 12 o'clock midnight. You know, like 3 o'clock's a lot easier. There's sun. 12 o'clock, you might be sleeping on the mountain and we might be sleeping with you too. The nighttime offers a lot of dangers, but there's no extra cost. Yeah, so we take out the calls that come in, type of emergencies that we handle, and then what really the needs are, and then we project that for the next fiscal year, years ahead. Yeah. But yeah, don't think it won't cost me $70,000 to get rescued tonight. It's not. It's already there. So call early though. Don't wait. Okay.
Thank you very much, Captain. We really appreciate you coming and sharing that information with us. Oh, another question?
Very important that we protect our land and use less fire extinguishers because they contain forever chemicals and that's already in our water supply, which leads to diseases for us. So it's just as efficient. And I'm asking if you would agree to use baking soda to put out the grease fire in the kitchen. A bag is $10 at Costco. Well, my question is, if you in the fire department would encourage that we can use baking soda to put out grease fire and small fires instead of the fire extinguisher, because the fire extinguisher is so toxic for our land, extremely toxic.
That's a loaded question. Am I gonna say no to a fire extinguisher? Absolutely not. And my point, I'm gonna encourage the use because more important is that the fire needs to go out, right? The fire in your house, your loved ones that are there. And the other side of that question is baking soda safe to do? That's not in my safety tips here, as safety. What we want to do it with a grease fire, you're not going to put water. That would want to stress. The water is going to just send that into another realm, right? So we want to cover it, and so the smothering that you're talking about with baking soda, we're encouraging to cover it. So if you have a cooking fire, we're going to cover it with a lid, right? Because the lid's not going to burn. And then as far as you throwing more things out on the fire, I don't want you to throw things. It's like baking soda. What happens is that effluent that's in there burning could go and cause more spread of the fire if you don't know how to apply it. Right? So the extinguisher gives you distance so that you can put the fire out. I'm covering the lid so that you can have that prepared safely. As far as baking soda and another product, as here right now, I'm not gonna push that. A fire blanket, yeah. If you have a fire blanket and you're gonna use it according to the manufacturer's directives, then read those and follow that direct. Be prepared. You can practice, right? How do you cover the lid, right? You don't wait for the fire, right? You know how to cover the lid of the pot first. Practice. Think about those things before the emergency happens. Hope I answered your question.
A video that went viral where a fire department from another state put out a grease fire with a baking soda. So that's why I'm suggesting that.
I think I answered your question.
All right. Thank you so much, Captain, for joining us tonight. Appreciate it. All right. Public generated issues. Anne-Marie, welcome.
Aloha, my name is Anne-Marie. Mahalo so much for having me come up here. It's an ongoing issue, but I want to mahalo the Hawaii Neighborhood Board and our elected officials for supporting our community for no windmills in the Kaiwi Channel. Thank our board and our elected officials. We need Governor Green to support our community and our Hawaiian community who have come out in strong opposition to this project. We asked Governor Green to do what Oregon's Governor Kotek did for the indigenous people in Oregon, and she stopped the ocean windmill project proposed in their waters. Governor Green, we need him to remove the option of windmills in the ocean wilderness off of our islands, not just Kaiwi, but all of our islands. When we speak of Kaiwi, this is a beloved ocean area where numerous cultural practices take place. And of course, the world famous canoe races and stand-up races, all happening in that channel. This weekend was the Kaiwi Run. Over 3,000 people did the run. And that walk was amazing, Malka to Makai and into Makai. And everyone I spoke to could not believe that they would think of putting windmills in that channel. So again, I want to mahalo the neighborhood board. I want to mahalo our elected officials. And we need Governor Green to step up and do the right thing and take ocean windmills off the alternative energy options. Thank you. Thank you, board.
Thank you, Anne Marie. Are there any questions? Any other public generated issues? Please come on up. Elizabeth, you had something to share?
I wanted to share that in Kalama Valley residents, I'm going to ask that you're a little bit more vigilant in the entrance to Kalama Valley. We've noticed and had one homeless encampment removed on private land. We worked with the landowner on that. And we understand now that there's 2 other areas, and it seems to be growing, and it's moving into the residential area on open lands that have bushes and shrubs. So I thought it was important to mention it because it was only earlier this week that the private landowner removed the encampment. But again, for Kalama Valley, please organize, come together, talk, and share and report back and do what's necessary. Mahalo.
I just want to add one thing to what Elizabeth shared. If the homeless are cooking in the bushes, it also becomes a fire hazard. So we do need to report this and make sure that we can address it.
And thank you. On this encampment, there was that cooking area and a lot of shrub and trees. So thank you for reminding me. Yeah.
Come on up.
I'm Sally Flynn. I've lived in Mariners Cove for about 50 years, and I'm concerned about Coco Marina Shopping Center's vacancies. When we moved in, it was understood that we'd grow older in this place and we would have conveniences close to us. But instead, we're getting older now, and people my age, a lot of them can't drive, and the facilities are closing. So what is the story about Coco Marina?
Well, we don't have any answers for you, but I am following up with the manager of Coco Marina and trying to maybe get some information about some of the businesses that have closed.
Okay, thank you.
Okay, thank you. All right, we're going to be moving on. No. Our first presentation tonight is from Kamehameha Schools Mauna Loa Management Team, Aina Pauahi Update. This is Kamehameha Schools, as you know, is doing a study on their leased properties in Mauna Loa, and we are anxious to hear if they have made any progress in putting that report together. And here is Marissa, was it Hartman?
Harmon.
Harmon. Thank you for coming and joining us.
Aloha ahiahi kako, mahalo no ke ahua kua ana mai ki ia wahine o Mauna Loa, i keia po. We're so happy to be here. Mahalo Chair Mayor and the Neighborhood Board and all of the community who has joined us this evening, both in person and online. I do have notes with me because there are some things I don't want to miss speaking to tonight. So if you can bear with me through that, I have about a 5 to 6 minute update. I know we have 10 minutes. So hopefully I'll allow for a few minutes of questions, and we'll also be available if anybody wants to come speak to us so the meeting can keep moving with the rest of your agenda. I'd like to introduce myself for those of you who don't know me. I see some of our familiar faces, our farmers and other tenants in the room, so thank you for coming tonight. My name is Marissa Harmon. I am a Director of Planning and Development for Kamehameha Schools. I have a couple other of our planning team members here with us tonight. I'll have them raise their hand, and after my update, they'll make their way to the front to help with any questions. So Calvin Mann in the back, he is a Director of Planning and Development with KS, also of your community as well. Todd Gray and Jennifer Tom are two of our asset managers for our Aina Pauahi in Mauna Lua. So we're grateful for your enthusiasm and your interest around our land planning exercise and our future look at our lands in Mauna Lua. Some of you, I understand, feel like, where did this come from? This is news to me. I haven't heard of this. And I just wanted to explain up front, we started a voluntary process. We're not required to do really any community engagement and outreach when we do an inward look at our lands, but we specifically wanted to engage some key stakeholders in the beginning, which were Kupuna and lineal descendants, which that group we continue to leave open and grow as we meet more people. Our tenants, our farmers, our commercial tenants, some of the stewardship groups we work with, like Livable Hawaii Kaihui and Malama Mauna Lua, and our civic club, and some other organizations. So we did some early listening sessions last year in June and the fall. And then since then, we've been doing, as Chair mentioned, kind of an inward focus. What have we heard from our key stakeholders so we can begin the drafting of what might the future of our lands look like? And so I think, just to answer the question that's on the top of most people's minds, when we were here last October, we said, you know, within a year, we'd probably have our plan done. Unfortunately, it is taking longer than that. And we're happy to take that time to ensure that we are doing the right thing, both by our beneficiaries, our educational mission, and our broader community. So I apologize tonight if that's why you came here for a specific update, but I do have some updates I can share if you let me get through some of those, and then we can take some questions. This Kuleana to plan for the future of our lands at Mauna Lua, it is just that. It's a huge responsibility for us as the current day stewards, resource managers, asset managers of Pauahi's estate. Not something we take lightly, and really ensuring that we consider the current needs of our beneficiaries, the future needs of our beneficiaries. It becomes a pretty complicated process when we begin to look at all the angles that we must consider as we make decisions for the future of our lands. Because we know those decisions impact generations to come. For example, everyone's pretty familiar with our Kamilonui Valley leases. That's been the subject of prior meetings and also Representative Ward's updates. The decision when we issued those 50-year leases essentially covered 2 generations of new members of the community. So we think in those terms, which are hard to think in sometimes, 50 years beyond my lifetime. But that's the kuleana, the kaumaha that we carry, and rightfully so, as the stewards of Pauahi's vision and those that need to ensure her mission is carried out educationally. So we don't want to rush the process. I did hear some sighs. I completely understand that. But I also hope you can understand those multiple variables we take into place. Also at the very technical level of zoning, land use, what the East Honolulu Sustainable Communities Plan says, all of those things have to be layered into what will become our future vision for our lands at Mauna Lua. And each property is unique with its own set of opportunities and challenges. While small up there on the screen, we did put up that overall map. You can see what is white actually looks gray. Our current land holdings that we continue to own in Mauna Lua. And so you can see the vastness and the diversity of those. So again, we know some of you came ready to hear very specific details about very specific properties. And we do not have anything to share with you this evening. So I do want to say that off the top of the meeting in case you do have other things you need to take care of this evening. There are some things I can update you on. vegetation management that you have seen in and around your community. We have an ongoing vegetation maintenance program statewide. Specific sites in Mauna Loa include what's commonly referred to as the Dog Lake parcel, the marina lot across of the post office, which we've actually maintained for years, and several parcels along Kauai High Street. So each of these sites will be monitored and maintained on a schedule that's specific to the conditions of that site. And then we're continuing to assess all of our lands statewide to determine the best course of action to support the resilience of our communities. Second update, you probably have seen and read in the news that KS and the Department of Hawaiian Homelands have been in discussions about a land transaction for that marina lot across the post office. And I just want to clarify tonight, that transaction is not closed. So we're not able to say even what DHHL may have planned for those lands in the future. And lastly, we did meet with our Kamilonui Valley tenants last week. It's the most time-sensitive area within our project site. As most folks know, those leases are expiring at the end of June 2025. So we shared out with those tenants that we'll be collaborating with each of them individually in January on creating transition plans to be in place after their lease expires. Part of that transition is offering them a license agreement for up to an additional 12 months to remain on the property if they're in good standing with the terms of their current agreement. And, you know, these are not things we generally speak publicly to because these are individual, actual legal contracts between our farmer and Kamehameha Schools directly, but we understand there is some community interest in it. So we're just going to speak kind of generally to that. And each plan for their transition will be tailored to that specific tenant's needs. And I do want to mention a few of the tenants have actually already notified us that they do plan to leave in June as originally scheduled with the expiration of their lease. So everybody kind of has a variety of needs based on their own situations. And the reason for offering them an additional 12 months is as we continue to work through this plan. There are some specific concerns, I think, on Kamilonui Valley, questions about zoning. We are taking all of those things into consideration. We know the East Honolulu Sustainable Communities Plan designates that area for agriculture. We're very aware of all of these things. Agriculture is a very high priority for Kamehameha Schools, as it's included as one of our strategic goals to have stewards of our land produce more food for the local economy. So I'm just bringing up these points so that you're aware. We are aware of these things. And I think as the previous speaker did mention, what's good for the broader community, what's good for Native Hawaiians is good for the broader community. So we do operate on that premise. And so as we met with our tenants last week, we did tell them our ultimate goal is to have a transition plan in place for them no later than May, hopefully sooner, if we can get through those specificities with each of them. And so just to circle back and close out this update, we wanted to assure all of you that the extended planning process is really focused on carefully evaluating. I mean, we understand they're not just tenants, they're community members, they're people, they're families. It's something we do carry a heavy burden for as well, making these decisions. So if anything you can take away from tonight is I hope you understand we are very genuine with our intentions behind the process and don't take this kuleana lightly. We'll continue to provide updates to Chair Mayor as we have been over the several months, as well as Representative Ward when he reaches out. And once the plan's finalized, we'd be happy to come and share that. And perhaps maybe in future updates on the agenda, we can help with some clarity on, is there an update tonight on the plan or just a general update? So it helps folks decide how to spend their evenings. And so just mahalo for allowing us to be here. And Chair Mayor, I'll turn it back over to you to manage questions should we have time.
Marissa, one question.
Sure.
In terms of the process, could you explain the process to the community? I understand that once your project team comes up with some recommendations, they still need to be presented to your own Board of Trustees and leadership of Kamehameha Schools. And so there's some kind of a vetting process that needs to go on. Is that
Sure.
correct?
And maybe I can just describe generally, this is not just specific to Mauna Loa. This would be applied to any of our lands statewide where we have expirations of leases, vacant lands, and decisions to be made about the future. So we engage community, get initial feedback. We do all of our analysis on the land use constraints. And then we start to discuss, potential future uses of these lands. We do take it to our leadership. If they're in agreement with it, then at that point, we come back to community to share what the draft is. We receive more input. We go back, we share what the input is that we've received. We adjust our plan if there's adjustments that we'd like to make. And then typically we'll come back out with the final so that this is our plan, and then these are the next steps towards implementing that plan.
Thank you very much. I think a lot of people here tonight have some questions that they'd like to share. So I'm going to, if there's a lot of speakers, I might limit your time to a couple minutes so that as many people as possible can participate. I'm going to ask board members first. Lisa, and then Herb and Chelsea, and then Greg.
Thank you. Thank you for your presentation. Is there going to be time for you to come back and get community input so that you can go back?
The time is really our time and your time. So
No, but I mean, the leases are up in June of 2025, right?
So we're working with those tenants directly, and those are not necessarily public plans that we would share for what's happening with each of them individually and their legal contracts and the status of their accounts and all those
But
details.
what about the rest of the areas that whose leases are going to be expiring?
I have our asset managers here, but they're in touch with all of our tenants individually. I mean, if there's a specific lease that you're concerned about, maybe
No.
we can speak
So, I
generally.
mean,
to
when
it.
is the community going to be able to have a view of what the proposed
Sure.
change is going to be so that you can then take that back to your
Sure.
board and then come back?
I just want to separate the two things clearly, like details of future land agreements with tenants, like this 12-month extension would not be brought to community to share out the details of the terms of their lease. But in terms of deciding a large parcel, what's happening with that, that's what we would come and present what the
Right.
potential ideas are and get that feedback from you. So we're looking at 2025 to do that.
In
There-
2025,
Yes, in 2025.
but it could be a year from now.
Hopefully not, we would, and I hope you folks can understand the kuleana that we carry is for all of our land statewide, 370,000 acres. So yes, this is a portion. It is most important to your community because you live here, but we are also working on multiple other projects during that time period as well.
Yeah, I'm just wondering if it's usual to wait so long.
So I did have a point that I forgot to mention in terms of usual and land use planning. So we tend to be a landowner that can take a little bit more time than others. A good example is our Keoho Bay plan in Kona, where we held off on our draft environmental impact statement an additional year, when typically most landowners try to move it through in a year, but we felt there was time and need to take extra care with those stakeholders. So it is usual for us. It might not be usual for others. And I think we looked up the Sustainable Communities Plan update, and the update of an existing plan took a year and a half. So from a planner's perspective, it's not unusual. Thank you.
Thank you for coming,
Thank you for having us.
even though you say you don't have to.
I
Okay,
think
there's,
it's broader engagement with our stakeholders.
no, it's very important, obviously. This and online. It's a very important issue. We don't want to be stretched out and then surprised. Okay? So, my biggest thing is infrastructure. Have you ever driven on our highway when one lane shut down or even no lanes are shut down? I don't think we don't need any more development. Okay?
Please restrain yourselves and we can go through.
Since you brought up that
speakers.
you're doing this statewide, what happened to Second City? I mean, that, you know, there's a lot of property land out there. They talked about making it so that people out there can go to work there instead of jumping on our highways. So that's just a suggestion. Zoning is important for us, changing zoning. My understanding is it's not done yet, but the property across the post office is kind of almost there, and the governor can change the zoning on his own. Okay, so I'm a little curious about that because, well, that's a lot of power for one man. Okay,
Some of your points before I forget some of them.
I'm pretty much done. Infrastructure. Our sewers, I mean, our water's breaking down all the time. We always get these electrical blackouts because we're at the end of the line and we're overloaded and all that. To me, that's important. So infrastructure. Thank you.
Yes, mahalo. So I just wanted to readdress the comment I made. Perhaps it was wrongly received. I guess I wanted to stress that as a landowner, we take extra care to do this outreach that's not required of us. And while this broader group here may not have been included in our initial outreach, it's always been our plan to come back to the broader group with a draft. A lot of the initial outreach we did was to build Pilina with tenants and community members through starting out this process, which, you know, for us is also a cultural thing to ensure that our Kupuna and lineal descendants hear from us first, know who we are, know how to get in touch with us. This is a good time to also share, we do have a project email, maunalua@ksbe.edu, of which our project team can be reached that way without having to remember everyone's individual names. But to the infrastructure piece, absolutely. Infrastructure is something that is looked at with any land use plan. Those obviously are outside of our control as well. And we also pay into various infrastructure fees as landowners as well. With any project, if there's a change, all of those pieces get studied, right? This project we're working on is a conceptual land use plan. Then you get down to all those details on feasibility. I also wanted to address the marina lot. So I think what you're referring to is if Hawaiian Homes becomes the owner of that parcel, they do have different regulations that apply to them. I'm not an expert on the details of what they're required and not required to do on zoning, but you are correct. They do have different regulations that apply to them, and in some cases rightfully so, because it enables them to ensure they can carry out their mission for Native Hawaiians without as much red tape. So yes, I don't know if I got to all your points. I think those were several, but we're here. We've been here for almost 2 years. We're available, we're accessible, and we aren't trying to bring something to you at the last minute with no notice. I just wanted to express that.
Okay, Chelsea?
Thank you so much. I think it is safe to say that I don't think I've heard anything after all the words that you presented. So, but I have two questions. One is, I had a chance to be here when the last presentation was made, and there was a timeline that was associated with any project that you do, especially of this scale. So I'm wondering whether or not there is a timeline that's in existence that you can share without obligating the institution. But I think that's the reason, the purpose of the neighborhood board is to provide that input, whether or not you require or needed to come here. So my question is, can you share that timeline with us? Because without it, that we're really at the mercy of whatever it is that the Kamehameha institution is trying to do. That's the first thing. The second thing is more technical, that I'm aware that a lot of these leases in the farmers had a clause in there about they're being obligated to pay the penalty that EPA violations that Kamehameha's institution had incurred prior to the lease date. So what we would like to know is on behalf of those farmers, is whether or not those leases have obligations of the farmers paying the penalty that you should be paying.
Sure, let me see if I can tackle those. So I can do a high level summary. It's like 5 points, so I apologize if there wasn't much taken away from my message. First message, we carry our huge kuleana to do this plan, and I personally don't want to rush it. I still hear a lot of sighs about that. I apologize. That's as much as I can do, but tag that with, we're doing our best to do this responsibly. Second point, we do have some updates. The vegetation management that we've been doing in your community and will continue to maintain. Third update, Hawaiian Homes. There are discussions happening. There is no final sale. There is no plan to share with.
I apologize for the interruption, but my question was, can you share the timeline?
Sure.
It's a yes or no.
So, Calvin can come up here and generally speak to our plan, but.
Yeah, I think lessons learned from prior. We did present a timeline previously. We grossly underestimated the amount of effort that it took or is taking to get to where it needs to be. So a timeline, we don't have that just yet. So I don't have anything for you right now. Oh, yeah.
And then on the cesspools, if you're not familiar with the issue the board member brought up, large capacity cesspools were identified by the EPA via regulation to be closed by 2005. The EPA has changed their definition of large capacity cesspools over the years. The tenants are the owners and operators of the cesspools. They use the cesspools, not Kamehameha schools. We have entered into an agreement with the tenants that KS will actually, for this portion, because of the expiration of the leases, that we are taking on the kuleana of converting their cesspools and connecting them to the wastewater treatment plant, which will have positive benefits in terms of the environment. And so we're taking on that burden for them, but as the owners and operators of the cesspool, there is a fine that comes along from the EPA for the open use of those cesspools. And in generalities, our lease requirements do require our tenants to be in compliance with all federal, state, and county laws and to pay any relative fines related to that. And we have been working with our tenants for the past year and a half on how that will be maybe most easily set up for them to work on payment plans. But those are all specific details to them individually. But we are paying for the conversion to wastewater connection for those lots in Camilo Nui.
All right, Greg, you had your hand up?
Yes.
And then Janine Johnson and then Paige.
Yeah, you've spoken a little about how your plans to move forward with a sense of responsibility and respect for the people and the land. And my question relates to the preservation lands that are in our community and how you plan to act responsibly and respectfully with regard to how their current zoning is in place. With regard to the marina land, it seems like a sale to Department of Hawaiian Homelands would be with full knowledge that their plans would require a zoning change. And you said you couldn't speak of their possible plans, but they've already been disclosed. So that there is, an announcement that they're interested in that land for the potential of building some kind of high density housing, which is actually a good idea. We sort of support that, but we do not support the conversion of preservation land. The Lunalilo land along the canal, Lunalilo Home Road, up to Waikai Drive, that's definitely admirable that you're doing that for fire mitigation, for fire control. But it has the appearances that much more is going on there. A lot of earth moving and just, it looks like maybe it's getting prepared for something else. If it is truly just for fire control, then thank you. That's very good. But as your map showed, you have miles of bordering land to our residential communities that also probably could benefit from a little more maintenance, fire maintenance. And I don't want us to forget, because it's not totally forgotten, that the Great Lawn, as we call it, along Kalanianaole, is still zone preservation. And that might still be in someone's longer range plans for development. But that clearly was shown not to be in the public or community's interest. And you'd had backed off earlier, but I get the sense that we're just kind of being waited out. Same with Kamilanui Valley. I mean, it's just, we're not given the information until it's too late to do anything else about it. So I know you probably can't say a whole lot, but I do hope that you do have a good dose of respect and responsibility as you approach those properties.
All right, thank you, Greg. Janine, are you online? Thought I saw your hand up.
Yes, I am, Chair.
Go ahead.
My name is Janine, and I'm a New Valley resident, born and raised, but I'm also a Kamehameha Schools graduate. And I take pride in this community because we've been able to save some vital lands in this area. And our agricultural lands, I think they are the most special that we have, that we started working on 20 years ago. And I really feel like this community has such a need for this valley, not just for the food that it raises, which of course we do need, because especially in times of disaster, but it also, it feeds our souls. The land sustains us, just no matter if you're Hawaiian or not, it does. It sustains this community. And I think, you'll remember that we asked if we could acquire part of the property so that it would be protected in perpetuity. And that offer comes with knowing that this community will always take care of it and preserve it, just as we've done with our other lands. And we would most especially honor Keali'i Pauahi for that gift of allowing us to have this land to share in our community, because it is so special. And I would just ask if you would please consider again giving our community a chance to have it preserved in perpetuity for us. Thank you.
Thank you, Janine. Paige?
Hi. So we understand that Kamehameha Schools has sold or is selling the land across from the Hawaii Kai Post Office to Hawaii Homelands for affordable housing for the Hawaiian community. But are there other lands that are in discussion to sell or swap or donate? And the reason I ask is because I learned through the community coconut wireless, which is usually pretty accurate in Hawaii Kai, that Kamehameha Schools is in discussions with DLNR for the Kamahame Ridge project, the winter's camp land up there that you guys have. That's the reason I'm asking.
You can chime in. I mean, in general, Kamehameha, Hawaiian Homes, DLNR or not, land use transactions are generally confidential until the time they are executed. So I would say any landowner generally can't speak to any land transactions that are being discussed. So we just hope that you would be able to respect that position that our staff has put in. I'm not saying yes or no to any of those. It's just a general response. But I didn't get to respond to board members' comment about that specific marina lot and the plans. And so the reason I said I can't speak to it is we are not Department of Hawaiian Homeland. So I'm not able to speak on their behalf in terms of what their plans may be.
Okay, I hope that you understand, you've explained a lot to us about, you spoke for a lot. But the reason that you need to hear from all of us and the reason that we keep asking you the same questions over and over again, which I don't think you guys are kind of getting, I don't understand why, is that the decisions that you make for all of these properties affects this whole community. So we're going to keep asking the same questions. And we would like you to not say to us that that's a private decision, then you can't share that with us. Because it's not like you're selling your house to him. Do you kind of get that? It's not like you're selling your house to him. You are negotiating for property that we see, drive by, stand on, walk next to, bicycle ride every single day. So that's the reason we're as concerned as a community as we are. So when we hear you say we can't give you a timeline and we can't answer your questions and we don't know, and that's private information, all it does is piss us off.
Okay, all right. Please restrain yourselves. Okay, Marissa, go ahead.
I understand there's a lot of frustration and upsetness in the room. I hope you would have the same grace towards us as individuals as well. And the confidentiality and the policies that we follow as stewards of a large estate. And that's why we continue to come here. We know you're going to keep asking us. We'll keep giving you updates until the point we can share the details. And that's all I can really ask, is that you understand us the same way we're trying to understand your issues, which is why we're here. Thank you.
All right, we have a few hands online, but we also have people in line. So we're going to go with a couple people in line. Come on up and try to keep your comments short.
Aloha. My name is Phil Esterman. I come from a farming family. Both of my brothers are farmers. I worked with farmers on Molokai in the early 70s when pineapple was phasing out. I tried to help the Hawaiian homesteaders at Ho'olehua. There's a lot of land over there for farming, Kalama'ula as well. So that background, I just want to say that it's very difficult for a farmer in this valley to plan. When you talk about a transition, discussing transition, usually transition means a transition away from where you are right now. You're transitioning into something, but I don't hear a commitment to keeping that valley in agriculture. And I've had 3 distinct conversations with people who say that they have spoken with someone from Kamehameha Schools, and they've been assured that no, they're not going to take away the agriculture zoning, or don't worry about it, it will be kept in agriculture. But my question is, I just have a couple of questions. Can you state that you intend to keep this land in agriculture? Question 1, and then I'll just follow up by saying that farmers need assurance. If they're going to invest in equipment, if they're going to make capital investments, they need to know that 2 years from now or 3 years from now, they're going to be in business on that land. And you can't keep holding them in limbo and expecting them to do something proactive about their investments and about their business. Farming is very difficult, as I'm sure you know. And so this is a major concern. The other thing is, I've gone through the Kamehameha Schools website, and it's very impressive. And I recommend to any of you to do that, because it speaks of sustainability, of food systems initiatives, and it's replete with numerous initiatives of some sort to make the lands that Kamehameha Schools has, put the lands to some productive use. And so to me, I think, wow, this is land that's waiting. That isn't being, that some of it's not as productive as it could be, but it could be. And the community wants to support that. And farmers need some assurance that they can continue working to do that. And,
Thank you, Phil.
okay. And I just want to say, if we want to eat local food, we have to grow local food. Thank you.
You want me to respond? So absolutely, we understand how important agriculture is. We're the largest private landowner in active agriculture. I think our number is about 116,000 acres statewide. Camilo Nui Valley is included in that number, the 80 acres there. And to speak to the expiration of their leases, this is absolutely why we've been talking to our tenants for over 2+ years as to what their individual plans are. Like any tenant with a lease, there is a known expiration date, and most tenants do adjust their activities based on that outward lying date, but we're willing to continue to work with them at this farm, at these locations during this, and we call it a transition period because we're still working on our plan. We are absolutely aware of the agricultural designation in the East Honolulu Sustainable Communities Plan. So yes, all of these things are being taken into consideration in our plan.
Thank you. Could I have the next person in line? Come on up.
Hi, I'm Cheryl Park, and I want to thank Kamehameha Schools Bishop Estates for coming tonight and sharing what they know so far. I do support farming and agricultural sustainability for Hawaii, but I'm also here tonight in strong support of preserving the James property located at 6660 Hawaii Kai Drive between Pepe'ekeo and Hahaione Street, which are the only two roads that lead into and out of Hahaione Valley. And unlike the tall condos that were designed to hug the base of the mountain flaring east with Mariners Ridge homes high above it, the James property is right smack dab in the middle of the valley's main viewpoint or view plane to the south and the ocean, and is located on a critical stretch of Hawaii Kai Drive, where additional development along that property would really affect the people, not just in Hahaione Valley, but in all of Hawaii Kai. Many people drive on Hawaii Kai and go past this James building every day, but don't even realize that it's there because the two-story building is tucked beneath these large, beautiful trees that help to increase the value of all our properties in Hawaii Kai while sequestering carbon and reducing urban heat as temperatures continue to rise globally each year. The James property is a unique example of how a building can serenely coexist with nature beneath the shade of beautiful trees that reduce urban heat and air pollution, provide physiological and emotional benefits, and add real monetary value to all our properties in Hawaii Kai. James, or the Japan America Institute for Managerial Science, was founded by Fujitsu Limited and has been a great neighbor for 52 years as an educational institution promoting cross-cultural business, knowledge, and relationships. Because its land lease with Bishop Estate will expire soon, James has dissolved, but the international preschool that rents half of the building wants to stay there. I hope it does, and that the other half of the building will be used for compatible purposes, such as another educational facility, or maybe even an adult daycare center or community center. Several of us are here today to sign up people to join the Hahaione Advocates for Respectful Development to urge Bishop Estate to preserve the unique James property and its trees. Please see us later to sign up for this effort. It's not that we want to cause any problems, but we want Bishop Estate to hear our input before they develop plans, because we don't want to have to come back here and fight them later. So can I approach the chair and give you an article from Hawaii Business Magazine? It's entitled, "The Heat is Rising in Honolulu. More trees will help cool it off." And it talks about the $42.6 million in federal funds that were granted this year to expand the urban canopy and the importance of trees to our environment and communities. Thank you.
Thank you. Next in line.
Thank you for your presentation. Thank you, everyone. My name is Tom Cooper. I'm also part of the Organization for Responsible, Respectful Development. And we all support the farmers. Regarding the James property, it's not something abstract you have to wonder where it is. It's not something abstract you have to wonder where you could walk to it. And that's the very thing I want you to think about. That means our children can walk to it, our keikis. I spoke to some through the fence of the James property the other day. I didn't have to shout, I spoke to them. So in protection of our keikis, as you consider what that property could be, you'll understand why we want it to be perhaps a shell that's refurbished or remodeled, but that there be no demolition, no construction. When you think about children, I'm a parent, some of us are grandparents, some of us are educators. The last thing they need to hear in this school is beep, 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 all day long and heavy construction. And from a safety standpoint, the last thing they need is giant trucks coming and going, heavy industrial equipment. People wear hard hats for a reason. Children should not be close to that, and they like to explore. Thirdly, the pollution that comes from construction. The longer it goes, the more residual effect it has. Children in schools like this with asthma, with whatever ADD, all of the things they have, the last thing they need is a distraction. This should be a learning center, but also the last thing they need is pollution. So on behalf of them, a major ethical issue is that children have no voice. They inherit only what's given to them back. So I would think parents, many grandparents, many educators who will also suffer from the noise and pollution would hope that you will consider only proposals that are pro-social, proactive, in the interest of our children, and in the interest of preserving trees, everything that's there, and in the interest of respectful, responsible development. Making sure that what's there is not just a concern of ours because it might block the view and therefore our resale, or because it might cause us pollution, which it will, or because it might cause us traffic, which it will, or because it might cause us all kinds of other concerns, and because many people sleep in the day when the construction goes on because they have to work at night, or they have insomnia, or they have a million other reasons that they can't sleep during the day. It's not because of all those reasons. It's primarily because as parents, as grandparents, as educators, we know that urban planners say the last place you should develop is next to a school or a hospital. We
Can
hope
you wrap
will
it up?
Take that into account. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Tom. Okay, I'm going to be taking 2 more speakers here, and then I'm going to take 2 speakers online. So go ahead.
Hi, my name is Joy Schoenecker, and I live in the Honoluluan, so I'm here tonight to try to help to maintain the character of our community. I think that we know we've talked about a lot about James tonight, and James, of course, is the best neighbor we could have in our community. We just love the beauty of it and everything. The possibility of removing James and putting in another facility to us is treating the traffic flow that probably here We talked about two main arteries that we have. And I'm sure that you all remember the 1987 New Year's Eve flood that we had down Haione that came, and that was like about, let's see, I had $29 million to repair that street here with cars and boulders and everything else coming down Haione Street. So I think that we would like to collaborate. I think it's important that we have our voice heard and that we listen to you and that we want to be able to concern about the traffic, the fallout of traffic, access to medical services that we have here in the community. And we ask Kamehameha Schools to please listen to us and allow us to have our voice heard. And we really appreciate you coming here tonight. Thank you.
Thank you, Joy. Next speaker. Did you want to say something, Marissa?
Just want to say something real quickly. We don't have plans to share on James tonight. I know it seems to be building, but also if you do want to send us comments, if you don't want to come up to speak or we run out of time, you can email us at maunalua@ksbe.edu.
I'm the next speaker, and I'm not gonna, nobody else stand up. That last group, you'll be the last group to speak, and two people online after this speaker, and then we're gonna close discussion on this issue. Okay, go ahead.
Well, thank you very much for being here tonight. I know we've all had a long day already, and we really appreciate the time and effort that's gone into this from the community standpoint. We really have very little understanding what's gone into it on your side of it. My name is Rudy Park, and I'm a member of the newly organized Haione Advocates for Respective Development. And the reason that we are here tonight and what I wanted to comment on was that my concerns and commitment is to share with the board and with Kamehameha Schools. Our commitment is to become a player in the process. And there seems to be a considerable gap in what we know versus what you know. And we're all, we don't know what we're against or for. And we don't want to go down the road to where we are at a point where there's no turning back. But we are in this to make sure that our interests are uphill. And we will go as far as we need to go to make that happen. And I would much rather see this done in a respectful, in a logical way to where we can work with you before there is something provided to us that we don't have a chance to fight, even though we will. So what I am here tonight to do is to thank you, but please take note that we want to be part of the process, and there's enough people that are becoming involved in this through our newly formed neighborhood organization. And there's a lot of talent, there's a lot of experience, and there's a lot of interest and commitment by a lot of people, and that number is growing. We want to do it right, and I think this is the time to do it. And I share the frustrations. Some of you have gone through it longer than I have. But I think the time is now to take a look at how we're going about doing what we're doing. Take into account that while Bishop Estates is a huge landowner, I respect that, I admire it. But by the same token, we are huge landowners in our own personal rights, biggest landowners we can be. So we have the same vested interests. So please go back, talk about it amongst yourselves, and please know that there's a genuine commitment from us to see that this is done right and that we are included in the process. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Ernie. All right, I'm going to be, Marissa, go ahead.
We would be happy to meet with your newly formed association to kind of give you foundational background that we did provide last year. So perhaps we could bring up the meeting with all of our foundational, who we are as Kamehameha. I'm assuming they're archived, and it could be a presentation that's watched by folks who were not here when we gave that overview, but please send an email to our maunalua@ksbe.edu and we can follow up with your association. Thank you.
Okay, we have a couple hands online. Representative Ward, are you still there?
Okay, can you hear me, Madam Chair?
Yes, I can hear you. Go ahead.
Thank you for the feat of getting Kamehameha Schools to the neighborhood board. I really appreciate that. Also, I want to commend Marissa for an excellent job of saying absolutely nothing new. I got into a time warp. This could go back to 2020 or 2021 when we first started talking about this stuff. Marissa, it's the same old, same old. You've kicked the can farther down than the legislature has done that. So what you said to the community is nothing new. We're still suspended in, but let me be very brief and I ask two questions. Well, one was already asked but not answered by Phil Esterman. Will the valley be kept in agriculture? Question number one. Number two, since you canceled the past meeting of the town hall with the community, are you willing to kind of face the community with what you said tonight on a larger scale? Because there's very many people who cannot attend the neighborhood board, but can attend a town hall meeting at a separate time, which you guys declined to do. So two questions, ag for the future or a town hall meeting to continue this dialogue, of which tonight you said, again, an excellent job of saying absolutely nothing new.
Aloha, Representative Ward. So yes, I think we've clearly said we acknowledge the current designation for Camilo Nui Valley. We are an agricultural landowner. We do recognize the inability to change the designation, and we are taking those things into consideration in our plans, which is why we're continuing to work with our farmers beyond June 30th. And to your second point on the town hall, we felt it was more appropriate to, one, meet with our tenants directly first and have that face-to-face and question time with them. I think we'd be happy to discuss with your office what the structure of another meeting could look like, so we can follow up with you after this evening. Thank you.
Thank you. All right, we also have Al Keaka online. Are you still there, Al?
Aloha mai kako, o for Kakiona Madeiras ko inoa no waina mai ao. Mahalo chair, mahalo Cam Schools for being there. I have my things with you guys. You guys always giving land away, selling land that should be for the people, for Aina. I'm a mahiai, I'm a farmer. I know Ka'imi Nui, you know, I know that place through my ohana comes from Mauna Lua. So I'm gonna reiterate the words of everybody else. There's no promise from Kamehameha Schools that it's gonna stay within the agricultural. It sounds like you're gonna do everything that you guys always done. Sell land to make profit. As a Kanaka, as a Hawaiian, that is one paycheck away from being displaced in Hawaii. If it's not gonna go back to ag land, give it back to the Kanaka, give it back to the Hawaiians. Let us live on the land, let us regenerate farmers, do what we need to be done to preserve Hawaii, our way, right? Development, like there's other people who are in the neighborhood board meeting. I stand with them, whether if they're Kanaka, Hawaiian or not. Proper development for the people of Hawaii. Enough of this ignorant development that continues to displace our people. I'm not just talking about Kanaka, Maoli, and Hawaiians. I'm talking about everybody from Hawaii, right? We're one step away from being on the so-called ninth island. I feel like that's what your guys' job is right now, Kamehameha Schools, with the whole land swap. When are we gonna get land back to do what is need to be done to preserve our Hawaii? When are we gonna open up more Aina for us farmers to go out there and malama and restore and give the food that is needed for our people of Hawaii? Yeah, we pay so much export, import, right? We're getting taxed highly every single day. Just for lettuce, it's $5 nowadays, and it just takes water to grow. But we need the land. So that Aina that you guys are having thoughts about development, you know, because of the leases and all this nonsense. It's been done so many times to Kamehameha Schools. I lost faith in you guys, and I went to Kamehameha. I'm
Okay, Al, can you wrap up your comments?
You know, it's just I'm just so frustrated by hearing this, and it's like
It's all a dog and pony show. You guys show up to these meetings, you feel like you guys are listening to the people, but then you guys go into your private meetings, like how you say, where nobody is allowed, and you guys make decisions without the people's comments, without the people standing up and saying, "Ah, ole." Well, let me tell you this, as a Kanaka that fights for Hawaii Kopa'aina, I'll be one of the first people to fight against any development of that valley that are against the people, that are against the Mahiai, that are against the people of this Aina like myself, where our Ohana comes from, that valley.
Okay, Al. I think we got the message.
I
Thank
hope
you.
so, because I tell you this, I don't know how many meetings I've been in. I got to come with this type of energy because you guys don't feel us. You guys can hear us, but you guys don't feel it. As a Kanaka, sister, you
All
should
right.
feel it in your pu'uvai. That should be your kuleana to Malama. You talk about
right.
Pilina. What is
Did you want
Pilina
to
for you?
respond?
I do want to address Al, you said his comments. Yes, absolutely. We understand our kuleana. If you are actively looking for farmland, please email us at maunalua@ksbe.edu. We have an entire program around our agricultural leases, not just specific to Camilo Nui Valley. And also, you know, I think the more productive conversations do happen one-on-one and in small groups. This is not the best venue for productive conversations. So I can see that side of it, you know, calling them private meetings, but it's also to have more real one-on-one discussions, which we are open to doing. So Al, if you want to contact us, I'd be happy to meet with you. Mahalo.
Okay, next speaker. I had indicated that the 4 people that were in line, I'm sorry. I'm going to say that you, unless you cannot repeat a question already asked, okay? All right, go ahead.
Hi, my name is David Rosen, 50-plus year resident of Hawaii Kai, and I'm a former real estate litigator. And I've had a lot of dealings with Kamehameha Schools over the years. Marissa, I'd like to thank you for coming. I know this isn't personal. I hope you realize this is a reflection of the community's decades-long engagement with Kamehameha Schools. It's not about you personally. And unfortunately, Kamehameha Schools has not been upfront with this community in the past. Kamehameha Schools has a pattern of going ahead and selling parcels without engaging with the community first. And as you just described, a year ago, you appeared here and said that you would present a proposal, a plan within a year, and that hasn't happened. And that's fine. Take another 10 years if you want. But the problem is what you also said and what Paige raised was within that year, Kamehameha Schools entered into negotiations to sell one of those parcels with no community engagement. And that's, I think, part of the concern here, because Elizabeth has dealt with this. I've dealt with this. Kamehameha Schools is not going to develop any of these parcels, or certainly not most of them. It's going to sell them. It's going to clear off the farmers, and it's going to sell that parcel in the back of Kamiluiki Valley as it did before. It sold off parcels to developers who were going to build a cemetery, who talked about, it sold off part of the Kaiwi Coast parcel to a developer that was going to put a campsite in there along Portlock Road where I live. It gave the homeowners the right of ways and the beach parcels without any community engagement. And I think that's the concern here. So take as much time as you need, but can we have a commitment from Kamehameha Schools that it's not going to enter into negotiations to sell off any of these parcels until it engages with the community first?
Thank you for your comments. I just want to be clear, when we were here a year ago, this was not on the horizon, and those decisions are often made at trustee at CEO level. So we can absolutely take those comments back to them. I just personally am not able to make that commitment as Marissa to you because of how our organization is structured. There was something else you mentioned. Yeah, Yeah, I think it feels like folks are waiting for that gotcha moment because of our past. And we face this in other communities. Often when we hear Bishop Estate referenced, we were a different landowner in the past. I personally have been committed for 17 years to be a different landowner for Kamehameha as a Pua Apawahi, as a beneficiary, as a committed professional. So again, I just bring that to your board as I did last year and the only way that will change is with time, Pilina building trust and action. So mahalo.
I'm sorry, hold on.
Just to clarify the question was, since you've said you need additional time, will you commit that Kamehameha Schools will not enter into negotiations to sell off any of these parcels?
David, she cannot make that commitment for the organization.
So, and that's understandable. But that's the reason why the timeliness of this is suspect. You've said now you need additional time. Within the time you've requested, the farmers will all have been removed. That parcel can then be marketed to developers. Kamehameha School is not going to develop that parcel. But the concern here is that you're going to remove the farmers, you won't have an obstacle there, and then Kamehameha School will sell the parcel without community engagement.
Okay, thank you.
I just want to say it's not necessarily fair to make statements about what we are going to do with our land. And that's why we want to come to you with a plan when we're ready to say what we're going to do. But I totally understand the past experience, the knee-jerk reaction, the assumptions that need to be made in the void of communication. And that's why we continue to come here. We're communicating as best we can. But I just ask that you not make those assumptions reality, which is partly why so many people showed up tonight, was the rumors that development plans were going to be shared. So that's all I can continue to ask, Mahalo.
Yes. Okay, make your comments quick, okay? We've been on this almost an hour.
I am Helani Sonora Pali. I am a Kanaka Maoli. I can trace my genealogy to time immemorial, not 50 years, not 100 years, not even 200 years. I can trace my genealogy to this land for 2,000 years plus. Okay, so I just want to put that out there. I want to say a couple things. First of all, what I'm hearing here is a real pushback for the building of Hawaiian homes for Hawaiian people. Kanaka Maoli, there are more Kanaka Maoli living outside of Hawaii than there are here in Hawaii, in our own homeland. We make up 40% of the houseless, even though we only make up 20% of the population. There are 28,000 waitlisters on the Department of Hawaiian Homeland's list. You times that by 4, the average household size of a Hawaiian homeland lessee is 4.1. You times that by 4, there's 100,000 people waiting for a house, a roof over their heads. Not that long ago, right down the road at Pico Ridge, Pico Pond, there are deeds where they are written in the deeds. No Hawaiians can live here. No Puerto Ricans can live here. No people of color can live here. This is a Hawaiian place. We were here first. And I'm hearing that right now, Hawaiians are in dire straits. We need housing. We need the housing. We need a roof over our children's heads. That's where we are right now. And you know what this is all about? And I'm going to say it out loud. Lease to fee conversion. It's happened before with trust. Because nobody give up their home, even though they signed a 50-year lease. You signed a 50-year lease, there is an expiration date. You need to give it back to the Hawaiian Trust. This trust educates our children. My son was a beneficiary of this trust. Many of us, thousands of children graduate from this Hawaiian school. That's the stakeholders here. That's the real beneficiaries of this trust. You want to closing Hawaiian homes to be built. That's what it sounds like.
That's the issue. Hill.
We will come in droves, Hawaiians, okay?
All right, thank you.
Thank
Hilla.
you.
Okay. Next speaker.
Mahalo, Tita, for being here. It's between me and you. Kanaka, wahine to wahine. People want to say they lived here all their lives. I too trace our genealogy. Hawaii is our mo'i. Agriculture is very necessary in the correct hands, in the production, in how it is. Sitting in this place as one of the few Hawaiians is not very comfortable. And if I was not adopted by my mom and dad from the Liliuokalani Trust of Orphan and Destitute Children, I would not be in Maunalua. Because that's what it's known for. Hawaii Kai, right? Kaiser. Our ancestors. Brah, I can talk to you outside. I'm not even going to give any kind of attention to this. It's very important for our people to benefit from our mo'i. And I appreciate you being here. I know that Kamehameha schools trust me. You have no idea what I've gone through with Kamehameha schools and Dr. Brown with my brother. But I still have faith in our mo'i. They don't want more traffic. They don't want more development. What do Kanaka want that are on our aina? Of course, we don't want more traffic. Of course, we don't have the resources. We don't have it here. But you bring in the Kanaka to run the agriculture. I'll show you what will show up into our markets. We were sustainable way longer than any of these po'ehaole that have made their home here. So I'm with you, and we will be in conversation with one another. Mahalo.
Thank you, Malia. Next speaker.
Hi. My name's Kelly Koivo. That's my mom. I'm not as welcome a speaker like that. But she spoke to her, and I just want to kind of speak to you folks. In the 80s, my grandfather was part of the evictions for Lama Valley. Andrew Richard Black. That's my dad's dad. He passed away when I was going to be born. So it's kind of ironic that we were adopted by Haole Wahine from Canton, Illinois. Don't get me wrong, bro. I'm raised by Haole. Like, that's not ever the issue. But I know what you guys are feeling. Because we really felt it. Like, how many kid tracks is a mitten? A mitten is a hero. She spoke about the Kalama Valley evictions. And back then, it was not a Haole versus Hawaiian thing. That's colonial. That's the colonizer mindset. Everybody, my great grandfather is Tokujiro Sasaki Sato. He was raised in Kukui Haile as a pure Japanese man, grew kalo. That's not it. That's not the point. It's not about Hawaiian versus Haole. But it's just difficult to hear the entitlement a bit in the voices of you use someone else's struggle for your struggle. And I get the being uncomfortable because you made it your home. My grandma made it her home, you know? But I guess just if you guys could come to Lako, you could learn a little bit more about us. And how angry I have deep rooted anger, like my auntie and my mom, but it don't work. Like, it's a plea. Like, just, I get this is all in a jumble, but my whole part, what you trying to do, and everyone's just trying to figure it out. But please just come to La Coca and learn about this place that you're fighting for. Learn. Just be here with us. Help us. If you love this island so much, then just show up. Because that's what we do as community members. We show up.
Thank you, Kenneth.
My name is
Powerful.
Kelly, my name.
Kenali'i,
Yes.
thank you for correcting me.
Yes.
And thank you for sharing.
Because I know you folks will see me in the community, and I hope to see you folks soon. Come on.
Okay. All right, our last speaker on this issue.
I know you added me in. I can't speak for everyone here, but as a newcomer to Hawaii, a resident of this valley, I support the Hawaiian Homes. I'm here because I don't want to see another Kaka'ako, some offshore developer come in here and make millions of dollars and building high rises. If it's Hawaiian Homes, I'm all for it. And quite honestly, I don't understand why people are dying on that list before they get a home and why the Hawaiian Homes doesn't work closer with Kamehameha schools. My question is, I Googled the EPA fines for using a cesspool in Hawaii, and it comes up to about $27,000 a day with a maximum of over $340,000. And you mentioned that the tenants will be responsible for that. And after they move, you will be putting in the connection to the sewer. So I'm wondering, as stewards of the land, how can you allow these cesspools to go in and pollute our water and not be good stewards and connect to the sewage?
Thank you for the opportunity to clarify some of that information. We actually entered into an agreement with the EPA to cap the fine. And we've discussed this directly with our tenants. And I'll just say it because it'll give people a sense. It's a maximum of $10,000. And should it be higher than that, for this particular situation, we have other tenants statewide in different situations. We have discussed with those tenants, KS stepping in. In terms of timeline, we're not doing it after they leave. We've designed the system already. It's in permitting, and we will construct it as soon as we have the permits available to do so. So it's not something that we're holding off doing until their leases expire. We've been working on this for 3 years. So, well, these leases are 50 years old. So those cesspools were allowed and approved at the time they were constructed. And again, the tenants are the owners, operators of those cesspools that do have the burden of complying. In this case, we are mea kokua. We are helping them. Thank you.
All right, this issue is closed.
10,000.
And Marissa, I want to thank you and your group, a whole bunch, for coming tonight and sharing all of this information. I know that there's a lot of frustration, and I'm glad that you had an opportunity to hear from the community members about their concerns for the lands in the area.
Mahalo.
And we look forward to hearing more from your group, hopefully sometime mid-year next year.
Thank you.
Thank you so much. The next presentation on our agenda is a proposed change to the outbound route for the Honolulu Century Ride to remain on Kalama-Anaole Highway from Hanauma Bay to Sandy Beach. The presenter is Chris Salas, Events Director from the Hawaii Bicycling League. Hello, Chris.
Aloha. This will be probably a lot quicker than the last presentation, but in years past, we've been doing this ride and it's seen multiple routes, but at least in the recent history, it goes out on Cal Highway, makes a left onto Lunaleho Home Road, makes a right up to Waikai Drive to go around essentially the backside of Cocoa Head. This adds extra turns and crosses multiple driveways, which can be a little more dangerous. And our proposed change is to stay on Cal Highway to go past Hanauma Bay to Sandy Beach, where our first aid station is. Yeah, on the K'iiwi Coast. We did this once in 2016 with the help of HPD, which we're looking to do again with DTS and HPD. We're working with them. I have a meeting with them next month, but we wanted to reach out to your community to see if you guys had any feedback or any questions or opposition to the route change. I know we can sometimes cause traffic Sunday morning of the event, which is the last Sunday of every September, but I believe this would alleviate some trouble with that left turn onto Luna Lehohom Road. And we could just stay on the highway and hopefully cause less trouble for you guys.
Chris, would this necessitate the closure of that stretch of road to all traffic other than the bicyclists?
We do that one lane close on Cow Highway out there to just kind of get people essentially through the road quicker, giving them a little more space. We have GP roadways set up the cones and break them down as soon as the riders are out. And that should be starting in Kahala at 7 a.m. They start breaking that down and bringing the cones out. And the closure along Cow Highway would be over by 8, even the parts that go past Hanauma Bay. I know the K'iiwi Coast Run just happened last weekend and they had the highway closed till 8:30. We are only planning on doing it to 8, or we're hoping to, if allowed, if everything works out.
All right, comments and questions for Chris Page, starting with you.
Hi, Chris. Do you by any chance have old map and a new map so we can see the differences in what you're trying to do?
I do. I could send that to the board and have it shared.
Send it to Roberta and she'll get it to the rest of the board.
I will.
Thank
And
you.
then I'll be back again closer to the event.
Thank you.
To remind you guys and present again.
Thank you.
It will be September 28th.
Of next year you're
Of
talking
next year,
about?
yeah.
Okay. So if you could get the maps to the board and come back maybe not next month, but January meeting to go over it.
Yeah.
I'm not I think that you want some action from the board, either a yay or nay.
Yay or nay, but I'm going to be meeting with HPD and DTS next month. So after I could bring more information then and then see any more additional feedback from the board.
All right. Other comments or questions from board members? Is there anybody online that,
I have a quick question, Greg.
go ahead, Greg.
So how does it affect access to Hanauma Bay and the firing range? Are they going to be blocked?
The firing range opens at 8 a.m. on Sundays, so there would probably be a 5 to 10 minute delay as we reopen the highway. We will be working with having contraflow up to Hanauma Bay. So Hanauma Bay will be unaffected with access.
Okay, so if the firing range is the only one that has some potential
Yes.
effect, I think everything should be done to make sure that it's minimized, because they are only open on weekends, so that's a significant part of their time. And I would imagine they try to arrive earlier than the 8 a.m. earlier opening, just to kind of get set up and all. So it does eat into their limited time.
Of course, and I haven't scheduled a meeting with them yet, but I'm in the works to do that.
And as you mentioned, the K'iiwi Coast Run is also just a couple of months after, and that disrupts their access as well.
Yep.
Limited, but still.
Of course.
Okay, thank you.
Natalie, you have a question?
Yes, thank you. Thank you, Chair. Thank you, Chris, for being here. As a bicyclist, I'm really happy to hear this change in proposed route. For anybody who's not aware, the former route would go from Kalaniana-Ole Highway in front of Coco Marina Shopping Center and take a left onto Luna Lehohom Road. That means that the bicyclists have to cross a full moving lane of traffic and get into the left turning lane, which is very difficult for some bicyclists. And I was always concerned that somebody was going to be hit in that area. So by allowing bicyclists to go straight through that intersection at Coco Head District School, Elementary School, and straight up past Hanauma Bay, I think that's much smarter. I think the impact to traffic is going to be minimal because it's very early in the morning. And I'm just really happy to see this proposed change. Thank you so much.
Yeah, it eliminates two left turns and two right turns as well for this route. And it's proposed essentially to help minimize impact on the neighborhood and also to make it safer for cyclists.
Chris, you had indicated that you'd only need one lane, but I don't, because of the narrowness of that road around the coastline, I don't see the possibility that cars can travel in either direction.
Yes, sorry. When I said the one lane close, I was talking about Kalani Aniole Highway up until Luna Liho Home Road. We have one lane coned off. The shoulder is wide, but just since there's so many cyclists at the very beginning, they don't have time to really stretch out yet. So we give them extra space. For the Kiwi Coast section of the highway, we're proposing a full closure from the east entrance to Sandy Beach to Panama Bay. So the gun range isn't open yet. And then also the two lookouts would be blocked off until 8 a.m.
Okay, then along with your maps, please also indicate the timeline.
Yes, I will.
When you're proposing that the roads be open and fully closed.
Of course.
Okay, thank you.
Thank
All
you.
right. We're going to be moving on to our officials' reports. And first on our agenda is Mayor Rick Blangiardi's representative, Amy Asselby. Amy, welcome.
Good evening. Hi, Chair, Mayor, and board members. Thank you for the opportunity to provide a few updates. If you haven't seen the mayor's newsletter, I think it was all sent to you for this year or this month, excuse me. It's past my bedtime already. But the November 2024 edition has a video that's pretty great, and it can be found online at the link that was shared with you, but it is https://www.8.honolulu.gov/mayor/newsletter. There's a bunch of updates about the general activities over the last month, including more information about the sewer fees that I believe Roger Babcock came last month to talk about with regard to the Department of Environmental Services. So my three updates are, one, with regard to the boulders at Vavamalu Beach. The question was asked, can the gaps between the boulders at Vavamalu Beach be reduced to deter two-wheeled vehicles from getting to sand dunes? And the answer from the Department of Parks and Recreation was that the gaps between the boulders were done so that handicapped individuals still had easy access to the shoreline and sand dunes. Okay. Next question was on an e-bike ban. Can e-bikes be banned to prevent them from entering beaches and sand dunes? DPR responded that there is already a prohibition in place for motorized vehicles on public beaches. It is chapter 10-1.5 with regard to public beaches. No person shall operate, park, store, or otherwise exert control over any unauthorized motor vehicle on any public beach, with the exception of areas specifically designated to accommodate motor vehicles such as paved roads or boating launches. According to the definition of motorized vehicles, e-bikes would fall under this category. So they are currently not allowed. And finally, this was one that wasn't necessarily brought up by the board, but it was shared via emails to the board chair and members. And it was with regard to the solar gate that is now being used at the Cocoa Head District Park. There was an inquiry sent on November 3rd to DPR, and they asked what had happened to the solar gate at 11:30 p.m. on certain nights, or maybe one night. It appeared that the gate was open. So the DPR staff did investigate. They found that the electrical system wasn't connected. They're not sure what happened, whether it was a malfunction or someone connected it deliberately. disconnected it deliberately. But the contractor came out to Cocoa Head on November 19th and supposedly fixed it. So I hope we're getting good reports back that that gate is now functional again and opening and closing automatically. Those are my updates from questions that were presented.
Questions, starting with Paige?
Amy.
Hello.
So 2 things
Yes.
I want to ask you about.
Okay.
First thing is that now that we are over hurricane season, what's going on with our siren?
Sirens are.
It's
the
kind of a moot
state.
point. Yeah.
The
we're-
state,
the
the city
siren.
doesn't do the sirens.
Oh,
Yeah.
okay. Well,
But if.
I don't know who else to ask, but
Yeah,
I
if
kind
there's a
of,
state person here tonight.
no, there's no state person here. And the second question is interesting that you brought up e-bikes because I'm a little confused as to where they fall in the laws. It's become common practice for motorcyclists and bicyclists and even those quad vehicles that I see that people, obviously they're tourists that are renting, that they have been flying down the highway with the cars. And when they come upon a red light, they jump into the bike lane, they pass the red light, and then they jump back into the lane. And this is common. I see this every day. I didn't used to see it with the quad vehicles, but now I'm seeing it with the quad vehicles because I think that they think that if motorcyclists and bicyclists can do it, that they can do it too. That's become common. I saw an e-bike on the freeway yesterday. The freeway from Wailea, and he got off at Kapiolani, and it was an e-bike. This guy's tooling along the freeway in an e-bike. Are there any laws at all that cover e-bikes? Do they have to be registered? Are they a registered motor vehicle? Are they a bicycle? I don't even think e-bike owners know what they are. But I'm getting a little like glad the Century Ride and people who have bicycles are all excited about bicycles, but they're the most irresponsible people on the roads. And I think they don't think that, but they really are impeding vehicles where we pay licenses and we pay insurance and we pay all these things that we have to ride on these roads. And now we have to deal with e-bikes.
Yeah,
There-
so.
there has to be
I
something.
couldn't- Right, I could not give you a rundown of the rules with regard to e-bikes off the top of my head. But the city is working, this was on new regulations. And they're also working with the State Department of Transportation. They are not allowed on the freeway. Yeah, so that is a violation of the law.
What are they?
I don't know. I mean, they're obviously a
that makes-
motorized
maybe
vehicle
yeah.
according to city regulation, but
They're a motorized
they're
vehicle.
they're working on a new regulation because this is obviously a new issue with e-bikes becoming more popular and, you know, sort of what seems to be a lot of new uses for them. Let's put it that way. So I believe any new regulation, although it's being worked on by the respective departments, will have to come to the city council for review and approval to change the ordinances that exist. They do need to be licensed also. And I'm not sure what the age is. I have heard the director of the Department of Transportation Services tell me or say it in a cabinet meeting. Can't remember off the top of my head. So the more I say, the more it's hearsay.
I know,
and
just,
would love
I'm
to
at a
get back
point
to
where it's
you
just, I'm at a point where it's just like, I'm kind of over it.
Oh,
I'm
it's
over
been-
all these things that are on the road that are not cars, but drive like they're cars and behave like they're cars and drive in the lanes with cars until it's inconvenient for them. And then they act like they're pedestrians or something. Yeah.
They
So-
are, this is a subject of many neighborhood board concerns. It came up multiple times in the mayor's town halls. And it has been discussed at the city council, but I believe they are working on new regulations to address many of the
Yeah.
issues
Thank
that
you.
you're citing. And
Thank,
I'll try to come back with at least some update on where they are with those new regulations, how that's going, how, every day.
nothing else, where they
can
fall.
provide.
Okay, we're going to have to be moving along. Question also from Joel and then Lisa.
Not really a question, more of a comment. In many states and counties, speed limits for all kinds of mechanized vehicles, including bicycles, are controlled. It's just the lack of education of the people who are using them. Their inconsideration of others is really the frustrating part. And I would suggest that the lack of publication of those speed limits and minimums is what is causing most of our frustration. Because I even see bicyclists riding on sidewalks and crashing into people. And that's not allowed. It's not legal. But they have no idea that they're not allowed to do that. So well,
All right.
I'm trying to be kind, I think.
Okay. Lisa?
Hi, Amy. Thank you for coming out tonight.
Yes.
I have two questions specific to Hanauma Bay, if I could.
Okay.
First of all, is DPR and Enterprise Services are working on issuing a contract for a transportation concession to Hanauma Bay.
Yes.
That they're supposed to be issuing a contract for sometime in 2025. And Friends of Hanauma Bay have been contacted and have, been talked to about this.
Yeah.
And we have shared our concerns about this. So I don't know how far along the city is on this, but I have strongly recommended that the city come before this Hawaii Kai Neighborhood Board with this whole idea before they proceed too far along with the process, because the Hawaii Kai Neighborhood Board has been very involved and very concerned about commercialization of Hanauma Bay. And they've also been very supportive of good initiatives that DPR has put forward regarding Hanauma Bay. So I would like you to take back that it would be very helpful if that particular initiative be scheduled for a briefing before the Hawaii Kai Neighborhood Board, certainly before the whole idea be put out for contract.
Yeah. It is out for a revocable permit.
That it's already out?
It has been solicited.
Oh, it has been already?
I believe
Before coming before the Hawaii Kai Neighborhood Board?
I think they have reviewed.
So it's out for bid?
applicants. Yeah, I think it's out for bid.
It was supposed to come before the Hawaii Kai Neighborhood Board before it ever got to that point.
I will check on the status for you. That was my understanding. was
Really
that-
not good optics on the part of the city. It was
Yeah.
supposed to come before the board because that is the implementation of a contract of a new
Yes.
concession
Mhm.
returning to bringing a tourism concession to Hanauma Bay
Correct.
that we have worked for years to eliminate from the bay. So that
Right.
whole issue.
My understanding of the concept is it stays within the limits of the number of visitors
Yeah.
at the bay today. And that the instigation of working on it had to do with destination management action plan for this island to try to get more visitors' cars off the road. And so that they could have some other alternative to get from Waikiki out to this wonderful, beautiful place and still stay within the limits that are already established.
Right. But
So it would
but we don't
displace
know that.
cars coming.
Okay,
don't-
Amy, we're going to be on recess for the next couple months. And so if you have information about that, could you send it to me by email? And
Yes,
I'll share it
I'll
with
be
the
happy
board.
to do so.
And if there is an RFP that's going out, can you send that to us as well?
Yeah, I don't believe it's an RFP, it's a RP, which is a revocable permit. So it's a month by month.
So there were some issues about the RP that had some,
If you could send that to me, because then we'll take a
have-
look at how it reads and, what the requirements are.
Sure.
so.
Thank
so
you.
That's number one. Number two,
Yes.
the education program. At the beginning of this administration, 4 years ago, it was agreed upon that the education program would go out for its first competitive award in almost 30 years.
Okay.
Now, we have been talking with Laura Thielen about this, and there's always there's just been a delay in that contract award has been due to inability to, not enough people to award the contract because trying to obligate or encumber COVID funds or this or that. We're now at the 4-year mark, and I would just like this board to get an update on when that RFP is going to be going out for bid.
For the education program.
For the first time, for the first time, it's in almost 30 years, it's going to be going out for a competitive award instead of being sole sourced for almost that length of time.
Okay.
So it would be nice if this board would get an update on that. And also, if before it goes out, we could get a view of, or a briefing of what the DPR's view of what this new education program, they would like it to look at. To be what the DPR envisions a new education program to be like for Hanauma Bay.
Okay, and we have a question from Judy. Come on up, Judy.
Thank you.
I'm Judy. It's not a question. It's kudos to the city because my employees take the bus, the 1L, and one lady takes it to Kalihi. And 3 months ago, the driver would turn off his GPS, and it was okay when the days were long, but now when the days are short, she would end up in Kalihi in the dark, and she'd have to go home. So one of her co-riders called the bus and explained the situation. Within 3-4 days, it was corrected, and I just want to praise the bus because, it's for her safety and they did a really good job. Thank you.
Thank you, Judy, for sharing that. Any other questions for the mayor's representative? Yes, Herb.
This might be to the board because did I miss the Joe Lucella boundary map? Or did we never get it? We never got it.
We never saw a map, no.
Yeah, because the homeless, they're on the Mackay side of the guardrail. And I'm assuming the Mackay side of that is going to be the park. And it's actually getting bigger and bigger at the edge of the road. So I guess my question is, can we get that finalized, the map of what is the park?
But regardless of what the map shows, if the homeless problem is growing again, I think that needs to be addressed. Yes, Elizabeth?
I'm more than happy to share with the board. Just today, a resident sent me a video and she was livid because he was setting up a dish right in that very area. And we can share it. I'll share it with Chair. Chair can share it with you, Amy. But I also found out that we do appreciate the police stopping in there, but they do it on a certain day. And so what these people do is they move everything so it's gone for the weekend, but then they come back, or vice versa. I'm not quite sure what it is, but they know when the police come in and then they're scarce. And then the minute they leave and they know they're not coming back for a week, they're back again, which I thought was, I thought I'd share that. Okay, thank you. But I'll share the video with Chair to share with the board and Amy.
So you would like me to bring back a map of just Joe Lucella Beach Park?
I think that we were concerned about, what was the state jurisdiction and what
Oh,
was the,
So state
the-
versus city
yes,
jurisdiction.
right.
Okay.
right.
I'm sorry. I don't remember getting that, but
No,
Maybe
I haven't asked for it before.
okay.
All right. And yeah. And okay. And Amy, there's another question from Mary Lou. You have a question? Oh, Mary Liz.
Just for clarification, I am Elizabeth's sister-in-law. I'm Roger Riley's sister. I'm born and raised in Hawaii Kai back in the 60s. But I am also an avid paddler for Huinala, as my friend here, Paige, knows. So I was on the task force. I'm just responding to the last comment that I wasn't planning on, that I was with the task force to help Huinalu and their halau get past the homeless, not get rid of the homeless graciously. However, when they started lighting live fires next to our halau and our ancient canoes, I kind of went mental. When Bobby, a man from the Esplanade that I know personally, was allowing his dog to attack the chickens there while the Kaiser kids and the Kalani children were there to practice paddling. They had no idea about this dog. And the 5 complaints, if not more by now, it's been over 2 years, when he would attack anything and everyone. So as I saw his car pull up and attack the chickens, I was worried about the kids. I went mental. Bobby! I yelled, get this dog out of here. When I said I was going to call the police, and then this is at least 2.5 years ago, I then created a task force. Officer Tom, who at that time was during the daytime, he's now been put on patrol at night. We created 6 different officers to control and maintain, only because they stole my son's bike. I knew what that bike was. We had surveillance at the Esplanade. Lena had shaved her head, but stupidly came back 3 days later and was apprehended. It was all on video. I was able to retrieve the bike from a nice gentleman who had replaced the brakes. But when I went like this on Cal Highway and my son went, oh no, I said, that's your bike, right? And yeah, I'm getting it back. He gave it back to us. The whole point is that the officers in our area have worked so hard, but without the support of us and reporting things. When I did report it, there were 6 felons. There were 5 mopeds that were stolen. They had stolen bikes. All of this was recorded. And we got to the bottom of it. The biggest thing was when our same local boy, who's still out there now on a kid's bike, I saw yesterday, plugged in his cooking device into the Huinala halau. Hey, I said, you can't do that. Oh, he says, I was born and raised here. So was I. You cannot jeopardize our halau and our whole canoes that were in. Anyway, like I was a haole. You know what? Haole is without breath. I'm born and raised here. I'm a Kama'aina. Deal with it. So with that, I'm part of the board at Huinala. We got that taken care of, except when the Palakpea race happened. Not this year, last year. And we walked into the bathrooms to make sure everything was okay. We had 6, actually there was 8 homeless, houseless.
Mary Liz, you have to wrap up because we only have a few minutes.
Hurry up and help out. So the officers were awesome. They did their job. We still need help. We're working on it. But that wasn't my main, what was the point before? Oh, thank you. So right now, they've really been consistent on making those people move and go on. However, the help that they need is consistent.
Thank you. Thank you. All right. Amy, I think that's about it for your report. And if you'll get those things to me in the next week or so, it'll be great.
So if I'll get these reports back because we are not meeting in December.
We're recessed in December. We're
Okay.
not meeting in December. So our next meeting is the end of January.
Okay. So I'll see if I can get everything sent to the board in time for the meeting that isn't next month, and then we can still discuss
right.
in January.
Thank you very much for being here tonight and happy holidays to you. All right, we're going to be moving on to City Council Chair Tommy Waters' office. Amanda, are you online?
Good evening, board members, community members in the house and online. Amanda Zapeta here for Chair Waters. Thank you for a lot of really great and important discussion this evening. I have dropped our information in the chat, our contact information, the link to our November newsletter, as well as a few legislative updates. I'll just start by highlighting, because it was raised by Member Alton and others, e-bikes is a hot topic, something that we've been hearing more and more about in our communities. So Bill 52, 2024 is currently before the council. It's passed 2 readings thus far. And I anticipate that it will likely be heard on the December full council agenda. Again, that's Bill 52, 2024 relating to e-bicycles. It does basically, a lot of what we discussed and the comments that were raised tonight, it defines what they are. It breaks it sort of down into class 1, class 2, class 3. It's a little complicated because there are so many different types of these electric bicycles out there now. How fast they go, how they're operated. And so it really takes a deep dive into defining these things and classifying them so that they can be regulated. Basically, we really don't have regulations for these, nor do we have really definite legal definitions for it, which is why this bill is so important. So please, if you're interested in following this issue, again, it's Bill 52. I dropped the link in the chat, and I'm happy to provide that via email to anyone who might need it. But Board Member Alton, I'm happy to send it to you as well if you'd like. So please stay tuned for that one. I also want to highlight Bill 50 related to street parades and activities. That's still moving forward. It's another important piece of legislation that we're working very hard to get right. So we amended the bill to a CD1, and it was postponed in the last Transportation Committee hearing, primarily because there are still a few things in the bill that the Waikiki Neighborhood Board would like to discuss further and possibly take action on. It does impact Waikiki quite a bit. So we want to make sure that we're working with the board to address any concerns that they have there. We also have Resolution 24-176 relating to Queen Theater. There's been a lot of discussion and interest, particularly in East Honolulu, about this particular measure, requesting the city to take the necessary actions to acquire the Queen Theater property. And that's simply because it's been in such poor and dilapidated condition for so many years, and the community really wants to see it revitalized and brought back to life. Also, I know there's a lot of interest. I think I saw a comment pop up in the chat about Bill 46. That's the empty homes or vacant homes tax that's before the council. It was amended to a CD2 this past budget committee on November 21st, and we do anticipate hearing it for final reading at the December full council. I have a lot of information on that bill for anybody who's interested. What I will say just quickly is that there are currently 15 exemptions in the bill. And that has really come about in an effort for the council to address the many concerns that have been raised, particularly around impacts to local residents. This bill is really intended to try to fill those empty homes. We have approximately 34,000 vacant properties on Oahu, and we need to fill those homes for long-term use. That's really the goal of the bill, as well as to raise revenue for addressing affordable and long-term housing. But again, I have a lot of information on that. For anybody who's interested, please contact me. I won't go into too much detail there, but I did drop the link in the chat here as well if anyone wants to review that further. I also just wanted to mention we are still working with the Kokokai Community Association and Department of Parks and Recreation and the Fire Department because there are ongoing concerns about potential wildfires there on the slopes of Coco Head, particularly up against the homes on Lumihai and Lumihai Street and Place. There are about 500 homes in the Kokokai area. Many of those homes are up against the mountainside. And so we are working with the departments to try to address the wildland there and try to get it maintained. Fire code does require a 30-foot fire break. And so while we understand that, while the department understands that, it is a massive task. It's far beyond the scope of anything that they normally do. So we're working with them to better understand what we need to be able to achieve that and how we can support them. Also relating to e-bikes, we've received several complaints about them in Kamiloiki Park. So we're working with the department on addressing that enforcement there, as well as education, outreach to the school. We've asked for sort of a partnership with the school to help get information out and educate students and parents on not riding them in the park, particularly on the grass. And I wanted to mention that we are working with DPR to continue the repair work to the canoe halau there at Mauna Lua. So we're excited to see that continue. And then lastly, we will be participating again this year in the Hawaii Kai Parade. If you have any questions I can try to answer now or take back, I'd be happy to.
Did you have a question, Herb? Okay, go ahead, Herb, and then Mary Liz, very brief.
First things first, can you send me the Bill 46, all the information you have, including the 18 exemptions? I have people that are concerned about it because they lived here for many, many years, paid their taxes, and they moved away for whatever reason, and they kept their houses here so they can come back to it. That's, I just want to answer their question. And the e-bikes, as a former law enforcement officer, unless you put different color license tags on them, we won't know what level is what. So that might be a thought as to, you know, if you're this level blue or this level green, and that way, and then along those lines, there's a lot of mopeds out there that still don't have their license plates. That's just my comment on the e-bike bill, because they're just going to ignore it, the police officers, if they don't have, you know, the ability to observe what kind of a bike it is. Thank you.
Okay, Mary Liz, very
I
quickly.
absolutely agree with you. The officers that I've talked to, as I see them going down Kalanianili Highway and the Little Home Road, they look back, because they're right in front of the Esplanade where we live. Boom, the lights go up because they're facing the sky and they're doing the wheelies, no helmets, no lights on. So unfortunately, 2 Sundays ago in Waimanalo, I saw a guy got wiped out. Ambulance, the whole thing shut down the road. Yeah, well, it's an e-bike. He was doing wheelies. I saw 2 guys coming behind. Oh, that's our friend. So my point is, we need total regulation on this, just like you do a bike. I mean, even my 10-year-old at the time had to have a license. So where's the helmet? Where's the eye goggles? Okay. Then the other one you brought up,
Empty homes.
thank you. So I have a number of homes my clients have bought because they can. They come here as often as they can because this is Hawaii. How are we going to prove 6 months and 1 day over here? What, they have to get their California license changed over here? How are we going to maintain this? And how is that discriminatory? And how are we going to implement some new super tax on them when they're already resi?
Okay, thank you so much. Okay, Amanda, and Representative Ward, you have your hand up also. Do you have a comment?
Thank you, Madam Chair. 2 cents to Amanda to tell Tommy, make sure you put in that bill the popping a wheelie. When those guys are riding out in front of me and they suddenly go up on wheels, scares the crap out of me and everybody on every side. They look like they're going to fall over and we're going to run over and smash them. So this popping a wheelie is so popular for these macho guys. I know it was talked about to be put in the bill, but just as a reminder, popping a wheelie would be nice to make sure that you cannot do that on a major highway when people are going by. I mean, it's really stupid. Anyway, just 2 cents to Tommy for the popping a wheelie.
Thank you for that. Yeah, it's been brought up a number of times. It scares me too. And a lot of this is addressed in the bill, the licensing, the decals, stickers to, let officers know what type of class they are, how they should be enforced.
Okay, Amanda, we're going to have to move on. I'm sorry.
Yeah, no problem.
We have a number of reports to get through. But thank
Sure.
you so much for sharing all of that.
Thank you.
All righty. Is Governor Josh Green's representative here tonight? Is he online? Jordan Lowe? Okay. Anyone from Senator Stanley Chang's office? All right. Anyone from Senator Chris Lee's office? All right, Representative Gene Ward, your report.
Thank you, Madam Chair. I am here and thank you for this meeting. It's been very enlightening to hear the latest from Kamehameha Schools. I commend you for getting them to actually come out publicly. Rather disappointing, but we shall stick with continually asking them what is the game plan. Remember, this is a $16 billion corporation. To not know ahead of time, at least a year or 2 or 3, not just months ahead of time, is highly unusual. So they keep holding their cards close to their chest. But I'm hopefully going to have a town hall meeting with them as they at least open the door that they, quote, will be willing to talk about it. But equally threatening to the community is the trouble in River City by the 50 or so wind farms that are going to be on Mauna Loa Bay. This is something that my newsletter, which was sent hopefully to each one of you as members, the headline in the front page is "Lucky We Live Hawaii." Let's keep it that way. 68% of the people we have polled said, look, we don't want a wind farm in the Kaiwi Channel in East Honolulu. In other words, we've usually been threatened by developers on the land. This one has come by sea. My concern is in 2016, they said, no, you cannot develop anything in that area because of national defense. Well, Xi Jinping is even up in arms even more to get Taiwan and blowing the Pacific up to make Pearl Harbor look like a cakewalk. So I'm very concerned. I've written to the Secretary of Defense, Austin. I've copied the delegation in Washington. I've copied all of the leadership. I've copied you, Chair Mayor. We want to see what is in the making for what justifies what otherwise, and I'm going to be very frank about this. The lady who came and briefed the neighborhood board the last time, Miss Kalipa, I forget if that's the exact name. She is the CASA, which is the community liaison for the military. It's a clear conflict of interest. And that is also being queried at the Department of Justice. How you can be bidding for one thing, and they said, well, she has done a recusal. Well, the recusal means she steps back from her company. she was there in front of Chair Mayor and all of your colleagues promoting this wind farm, and she did it in Waimanalo, which, by the way, they got torches and, and clubs out against her. And the difficulty is that the community has no real off-ramp to make sure that if we are against it, that they will agree with it. Now, who knows this more in detail than I is Elizabeth Riley and Lisa Bishop, and hopefully they will chime in. But that is a very clear and present danger to our community, that if those wind farms go up, and look, I'm not against solar energy, but look, when they stopped us putting solar on our roofs, they've stopped putting solar on the businesses, on the parking lots, and even on mountainsides. Now they're going to go out and spoil the ocean. It just doesn't make it. It's a bad idea. And I know we've talked with those Native American tribes in Washington State. They have been able to push it back. They have the governor who said, no way do we want it. We are still working with the governor, Lisa and Elizabeth met with the the energy director, Mark Glick. So they have some insight as to what the governor's saying, because the governor probably could shut it down.
Okay.
The point is,
Representative Ward,
we
you're
don't
going to have
want
to wrap it up. We only have 15 minutes left.
Okay, having wrapped, I'm going to say it's not only beer summit time, it's opening it back up for the swan song for Speaker Saiki, who lost his election. The new speaker is Nadine Nakamura, the first woman speaker, and from the neighbor islands. And the beer summit is January 9th. Other than that, happy Thanksgiving, happy Merry Christmas, Happy New Year, and we'll see everybody in January. Thank you and aloha.
Thank you, Representative Ward. Yes, Paige.
Hi, Rep. So I just want to say one thing, and that is that at a time where we're supposed to be grateful and thankful for things, I'm very grateful and very thankful that we have you as a representative for this district, that you attend our meetings, that you listen to your constituents, and that you care about this community as much as everybody who lives here. So thank you for that.
Elizabeth?
That's very kind of you, Paige.
I just want to acknowledge publicly all the behind the scenes support you've granted Lisa and myself as we continue to research the issue regarding the Kaiwi channel. You've put a lot of resources against helping us get information, including connecting us with the folks in Oregon. So thank you, and thank you to Jillian.
All right.
Thank you.
Moving on. Is there a representative from Mark Hasham's office? Any congressional representatives online? All right, we're going to be moving on to board business. Update on Kaiwi Coast Scenic Byway. I have no updates for you, and we have heard from Amy about the Boulder situation. Go ahead, Elizabeth.
Livable Waikai is working on a management plan, and does include going down into the Makai side just as well. And so later in 2025, we'll have Townscape come back and share, because I think a lot of good stuff is coming from that process. And I think this board would like to hear more about it.
All right, update on Camilo Nui Valley agriculture. I have no update. We've heard some information from Kamehameha Schools tonight on that area, but nothing definitive. Okay, the third item under board business is a proposed project to pave the dirt parking lot at Sandy Beach. And Nick Minos is here to explain that project. And thank you, Nick, for staying with us this long.
Try and blow this really quick. My computer's running on fumes. Bring up this first photo just to give some perspective of what we were talking about, showing the lot closest to the blowhole. This was a satellite taken from Google Earth 2016, and there goes. Can you help me with images on your laptop? It just typed the hours left. Sorry about that. So I'm going to show you a series of photos, some from the past, some that are recent, some from today. Luckily, I'd sent these photos ahead. I did not think this meeting was going to run 3 hours, but here we are.
While Jeffrey is looking for those photos, Nick, can you explain what you're trying to accomplish? And you had indicated that there were funds already allotted for this.
Correct. So
And where are those funds going to be coming from?
my understanding from the emails that I received is from the city and what department I'm uncertain of. I would imagine it's Park and Rec, Department of Park Maintenance. There's a number of departments that have touched in and out of emails. Just the fact that I submitted a design 2.5 years ago that went through the system, got pushed along, had a budget created.
Who did you submit your proposal to?
It's probably to the Park and Rec and or Representative Waters, since he was the one who actually had put the project on a list that attracted my attention. So I wanted to promote that idea. And having done that, so that this photo here that you're seeing now is also another photo from Google Earth, circa 2016. You can see that the cars on the right-hand side are in a dirt area. You can go ahead and we can bang through these really quick. This was taken in early October. On the left-hand side is again the dirt area that I'm discussing and putting up for consideration for improvement. You can see it's being used as a dirt lot. There is a little bit of vegetation, but most of that has pretty much eroded over time. Go ahead and go to the next one. This is one of those images that I wanted to show why we want to have this area paved over and the area improved, specifically for safety features, but mostly because what you're seeing there is cars that go in there on the weekends. Although I must say it happened last night, because when I showed up at Sandy Beach this morning, this exact same happened. What you're getting here is all this riprap that's now on the access road. So people are tripping on it. Cars that are driving over it are sending those rocks off in multiple directions. Cars are being damaged. Also wanted to show, and you can go to the next one. These are some of the size of the rocks that we're talking about. Well, these are not little pebbles. These are actually very sharp-edged rocks that if you kick it, if you trip on it, you're going to find yourself with an injury. Go ahead and go to the next one. There should be one more. That would be the image that I sent into the city. So it was a design that I had created for consideration that got pushed along all the way to the point where it was, I was informed that it was necessary to involve this particular community board to get the recommendation, help push the idea forward, to get the mayor to basically put it on the list, on his priority list, because funding is there. And I would like to submit, if I may. This was just done recently. These were people that I interact with between 9 and 11, Monday through Friday. I don't go there on the weekends. This is the photo. Yes, thank you. So this is what I had envisioned. It's, like I said, for consideration. The idea was to pave the area that's now currently dirt, to put up telephone barriers, recycled telephone poles as a retaining wall, that then it could be filled in and have new vegetation added, because currently the vegetation that's currently there is dead. To extend the guardrail as well as the painted line area so that drivers are not cutting the corners. To obviously mark all the spaces. There are currently cement bollards or stands, poles that are around the existing light poles, but those have been dented in all different directions. The red outline around that area as well indicates safety area, so that you could also be considered putting in picnic benches, or in some cases, smoking areas, since smoking is not allowed on the beaches. And then just basically eliminating the issue for liability with those rocks that have been causing multiple issues with people not only just walking, but the cars that have been flying by and creating damage.
All right, Nick, I'm going to open it up for questions, discussion from board members, starting with Paige.
So my first question is why did you automatically go to asphalt?
I'm just-
why can't you put in vegetation and make it a grassy area?
I would love to be able to do that. Now, I've only been here 16 years, but when I came here and the first time I was there and I had, friends who have lived here, born and raised, had informed me that they had actually started this process and then got tired of fighting the system. That whole area at one point, I guess, was green, but because people use that area and they parked on it, now there's nothing but dirt there.
Okay.
So answering your question was, because rocks are there and because the lot's already half paved, by expanding that area to a barricade with the recycled telephone poles, we double that area, we eliminate the problems with the rocks, and we give people an adequate amount of space. In this case that I designed, it actually doubles the number of parking spaces that are there because it's already being used as a parking lot.
Okay, so we already have 10 million people coming to Hawaii. Should we build houses for all of those people too?
Not talking about that.
No, we're talking about the fact that this is exact example of let's build it because they're coming. Not, why do we have to accommodate the cars that are parking there already? Why don't we block it off and make it a nice grassy area with picnic benches? Why can't you do that as opposed to accommodating cars that are parking where we don't want them to park anyway?
I'm all in favor. I would agree with that.
And can you change your design for that?
I could. The idea was because there are so many people that are coming, like myself, that there isn't enough parking spaces in that area, which means I'm gonna have to walk quarter mile or farther away or outside the park in order to get in order to use the beach. So they're already parking there.
Yeah, so stop them from parking there. That's what I'm saying is that just because they're doing it doesn't mean you accommodate them. You take away that parking area and you put in picnic benches and a grassy area and whatever.
And I have no objection to that.
I think that aesthetically, that would be way more in line with Sandy Beach and what it's supposed to be, as opposed to a parking lot. Because my concern is what's next. You've got, they're using this parking lot. Well, now they're starting to park on the other grass. So let's just pave that over and make that into a parking lot. Next thing you know, we're going to have a whole parking lot. The showers are going to be right in the middle. And there's not going to be any grass at all because people are there.
Okay.
They did it. Wait a minute. They did it with Mock House. They said, all these cars are coming and they're parking here anyway. So let's build a parking lot. And they did that. But guess what happens? They're still parking on the street. So this is not going to end. This is just a catalyst to what's coming next. So that's all I'm saying.
No.
All right, other comments? Elizabeth?
I think Paige is onto something as it relates to what her idea was, and I really appreciate your effort and what you've prepared. I do know that there are a number of pretty intense environmental processes that are going to have to be added to this. It doesn't just happen even if the money is there, just FYI. So that's something else that has to be factored into. And I really think because this is city park land, that they need to be a party to this conversation. So I don't know if Herb, who runs our park committee, could convene and city parks can be there and you can be there and anybody else that's interested can be there. I just wanted to offer up that thought because paving over is definitely something that goes against the grain of keeping Kaiwi in its wild and natural state, but you bring up some very valid, important points that need to be looked at. And perhaps there's a way to mitigate that. I just wanted to offer that up. And I don't think that we can come up with those ideas and maybe it's better served in a community committee forum with city parks since it is their area.
Sure. And, when I submitted this, it was strictly for consideration. I never actually expected it to get this far. So I'm a little, I was, surprised that it was actually under consideration. They're like, well, it kind of makes sense because the lot has been damaged. There was grass there, I guess, many years ago, well before I arrived. So for me, it was a matter of, I'm always finding myself parking in that area because I do serve right in front of that area. Because there is no parking there, which means I would have to park outside of the parking area in order to walk into that place rather than serve. But I totally understand where you're.
So
I would love to see more green, and I included that in my design.
So this board has been extraordinarily active with the Kaiwi Coast. And it's been 50 years of people looking to preserve and have done a good job in preserving and keeping it in its wild and natural state. But this board's action in creating the Manalua Makapu'u Scenic Byway, doing the corridor management plan, these things mean a lot to this board, and we have an obligation to the larger community.
Sure.
So I think it's great to meet you, and I think that we should definitely, hopefully Herb would hold a committee meeting and we can converse more and
Sure,
look
I'd
at
be-
look at that.
Be involved in that. I'm just, like I said, this was something that I threw out for consideration.
Okay, we have a gentleman that has the comment.
James Proctor, live in Guapa Isle, here in Hawaii, lived here 30+ years. I agree with your proposal. I disagree with your objections. I know personally my neighbor who lost his leg because he was attempting to park on the side of the road over there at the Makapu'u Lookout and walk up there with his family, because a car went off the side and ran into him, crushing his leg up against the back of his car when he was unloading. And what you will do by forcing people to park down the highway, either side, is put other people in a dangerous situations. That is wrong. We cannot put our heads in the sand. We've got to accept the fact that we need to put in parking for people for their safety. That's all.
So to that, I'd like to just mention that the Kaiwi Coast will never be able to accommodate the demand that the public and the visitor industry has. We will never have enough parking. So it's an ebb and flow type of situation. Point well taken about safety, though.
Any other comments, questions? Does the board want us to weigh in on this at this point, or is it still too premature? All right. Yes, Joel?
Yeah, I agree with that. Getting information from Parks and Rec, but more importantly, if that area is used for a park area, then some type of information of where are the expectations for parking to accommodate that area to be used for parking for
Okay.
both, egress and
Right.
safety.
I'll invite the Director of Department of Parks and Recreation to perhaps either come to our next meeting or let us know what the plans are, if any, for Sandy Beach area. Okay?
Thank you for your consideration.
Nick, thank you for bringing this to our attention, but we're not ready to take any action on this tonight, but we'll want to investigate it further.
And also, I'd like to encourage you to bring other supporters or people that have.
Petition that I put together. They're people that I basically deal with between 9 and 11 when I'm there at the beach in the water for that particular time. So most of the time I'm in the water, so I see them. I'm in the lot maybe 15 minutes before I serve and maybe a half an hour after. But I wanted to provide this to the board, show that I'm not the only one that was concerned about what was going in that parking lot, and that they had the same concerns with their safety.
All right.
And the preservation.
Thank you so much. We're going to be moving along. The last items on our agenda are approval of the regular meeting minutes for October 29. Is there any suggestion for revising the minutes that were distributed to you? Seeing no objection, the minutes for October 29 are going to be accepted as distributed. Any other board announcements? If not, the next regular meeting of the Hawaii Kai Neighborhood Board is on Tuesday, January 28, 2025 at 7 p.m. at Hahaione Elementary School cafeteria and on WebEx. The Hawaii Kai Board is in recess in the month of December. We'd like to wish all of you happy holidays, and we'll see you in the new year. Our regular meetings are cablecast on Olelo Channel 49 on the second Monday of the following month at 9 p.m. and repeating on that month's third Friday at 7 a.m. Thank you all for staying with us tonight and happy holidays, everybody. Meeting is adjourned.